4, 3, 2, 1.
Broadcasting live from the Newsmax studio in New York City. A fusion of politics, commentary, entertainment, and sports. Steve and his team bring you the latest news and opinion now. Here is Steve Malzberg.
You are the ones who helped reach all the voters. Make sure that we knew that they were important to this election because it's a group effort, it's not a solo. And so we all have a right to be proud of our state tonight. Thank you very much. Thank you for this wonderful honor and wonderful challenge that lies ahead. Thank you very, very much.
All right, folks, that was the scene last night as Thad Cochran, in a runoff with his Republican primary challenger, Chris McDaniel, declares victory. Now, McDaniel gave a speech. He refused to go away. He said, "We'll see you soon." And this was at the end of an angry speech where he wasn't too happy that Democrats played a big part in this very close runoff election. Democrats allowed to vote in that state in Republican primaries and vice versa. African Americans came out in big numbers in certain precincts as well. And one of the reasons might have been this flyer that was put out that said or claimed the Tea Party intends to prevent blacks from voting on Tuesday. It also portrayed Thad Cochran as a champion of civil rights, which he may very well be, and Chris McDaniel as, let's just say, quite the opposite. So we're going to talk about all of that and much, much more. John Boehner, as we mentioned, announcing today that he is suing Barack Obama in order to have the separation of powers upheld, in order to uphold the meaning of the Constitution, and to prevent the president from circumventing Congress. And Ken Blackwell joins us. First, though, let's watch John Boehner.
Constitution makes it clear that a president's job is to faithfully execute the laws. In my view, the president has not faithfully executed the laws. We have a system of government outlined in our Constitution with the executive branch, the legislative branch, and the judicial branch. Congress has its job to do, and so does the president. And when there's conflicts like this between the legislative branch and the administrative branch, it's, in my view, our responsibility to stand up for this institution in which we serve.
All right, and that is John Boehner, as we mentioned, announcing that he will be suing the President of the United States. And joining us now, as promised, is Ken Blackwell, former mayor of Cincinnati, former Ohio State Secretary of State, former Ohio Secretary of State, and senior fellow for family empowerment at the Family Research Council. Ken, good to talk to you again, sir.
Steve, it's good to be with you.
I appreciate that. All right, so, you know, I've asked over and over and over again rhetorically, who's going to rein in this president? What are the Republicans doing? What can they do to the I have a pen president? And now you got Boehner and other Republicans apparently in the House who are going to sue the president.
Absolutely. I think there are a couple of tracks. One is a political track. The other is a legal track. And Mr. Boehner is pursuing or is indicating that he's going to pursue a legal track. Look, in addition to that, there is a political track. And that means that it becomes increasingly more important that the opposition party, the Republican Party, takes absolute control of the Senate. These latest actions by President Obama makes it very clear that, as Ken Kukowski and I predicted in 2010, this president is hell-bent in creating an imperial presidency. It means that he will go outside the law, around the law, to accomplish his ends. He believes in an imperial executive branch. It is totally inconsistent with the Constitution of the United States. It concentrates too much power in the executive branch, and we must stop him politically and legally. So this dual track approach is imperative for us to follow through on.
And as a former, Secretary of State of Ohio, let me talk a little bit about the legal approach here by Boehner. What could he do? I mean, how could he go after the president, and how could he get him to stop, as in the view of you and many others, circumventing the Constitution through the courts? How would that work?
One, the Congress has standing on matters of the Constitution. It's going to have to be a clear majority in the House, but the House does have standing where it is a question of a violation of the Constitution. So I would hope that my fellow Ohioan has counted the votes, and he is sure that what he can do now, he would have the full backing of his House. I think it is important, and that's a long process.
Yeah.
It's a long process. That's why, while I think he has to start it now, he has to whip up the rhetoric around that action. It is also important that we, in the grassroots of the American political sector, we realize that we have something that we can say, we the people can say at the ballot box.
Now, when you talk about taking back the Senate and controlling both branches, both chambers, the House and the Senate, are you and you talk about that in reference to stopping the president as one of two ways? Are you talking about impeachment, the power of impeachment?
No, I'm talking about getting control where we, in fact, can stop this legislatively. I think it's very imperative that we do that.
But he's going around, but he's circumventing the Congress in many instances.
I'm going to say, look, there are people who will look at the impeachment track, and that's when a president puts at risk through his intentional actions or his incompetence, puts American national security and American lives at risk. And this president is both incompetent and he is intentionally moving away from those things that have made us an exceptional nation. We can't say that he didn't telegraph his punches.
Oh no, he was going to fundamentally change us. Electricity rates would, by definition, skyrocket. You wouldn't be able to open a new coal plant. He didn't have a problem with gasoline going to $7, $8 a gallon as long as it wasn't too quickly. We had to have a conversation about end-of-life care. He told us everything.
Oh, he did, and this is why we must paint a different picture. We must chart a different course, and we must do it in what Reagan called bold colors.
Yep.
They're not pastel colors. And Steve, that's why what happened in Mississippi is disquieting.
Well, you're referring. Let me just you're referring to Thad Cochran and his victory over Chris McDaniel.
Where there was a deliberate effort to circumvent the will of Republicans in Mississippi, and through a deliberate and clever strategy, invite liberal Democrats into the Republican primary by saying that Mississippi needs D.C., which was code for we need the pork, we need the dependency, and therefore what he did was he made an appeal to those who are dependent on big government and those who, by their own desires and intent, are advocates for big government.
Well, lots of Democrats came out, lots of African Americans, and I just want to point out to you that there's a flyer that was put on National Review by our friend John Fund, and it says that this is a flyer that was distributed in heavily black precincts, suggesting just how Thad Cochran may have accomplished getting so many African Americans and Democrats out to vote. The flyer, the headline is, "The Tea Party intends to prevent blacks from voting on Tuesday." It then goes on to portray Thad Cochran, as a great civil rights leader and supported MLK Memorial, supports public schools, supports Jackson Medical Mall, and then Chris McDaniel, Tea Party, voted against MS Civil Rights Museum, opposes federal funding of public schools, blah, blah, blah. So the race card. Now, I don't know if Thad Cochran sent out these flyers, but I trust our friend John Fund. What do you think of these flyers, no matter who sent them out?
Well, again, it is the ugly side. It is the dark side of American politics. This is a deliberate attempt to misdefine and destroy a legitimate challenge to the establishment, and most notably to the status quo. Look, we're not going to change Washington. We're not going to get back to those things that have made us exceptional. One, the primacy of the individual, the supremacy of God in the culture. It's not a smaller government, a strong and robust defense,
right,
and a growing economy. We're not going to get back to that by saying what we need is more pork, more dependency,
right,
and larger government.
Ken, we only have less than a minute. I just want to interrupt, but I just want to ask you, there's been hints by McDaniel. He said, I'll see you all soon, indicating he might challenge this, the election results, or challenge Cochran somehow. Should he keep the fight going, or should he just go away?
Well, I don't know what his options are, but I will say this, that if those folks who got those liberal Democrats to come into the Republican primary think that they're going to stick with Cochran in November, I got a bridge that I need to say.
Ken, great to talk to you, sir. Thank you so much.
Always good to be with you.
Thank you. Ken Blackwell, ladies and gentlemen. When we come back, retired Army Lieutenant Colonel Ralph Peters on Iraq.
I've got a small business, and everybody said you should be promoting it with Facebook.
Well, I use Facebook for myself, but I had no idea how to use it for my plumbing business.
Then I heard about web.com.
They told me they would build a professional Facebook page for my business free.
So I gave them a call.
And then they built me a Facebook page for free. I couldn't believe it.
If you call web.com now, you can have a new Facebook page built for your small business free. We even write posts for your Facebook page that will get people talking about you.
It's like I have this whole big social media department for my business.
Call now and web.com will build your new Facebook page free. Then we'll continue to bring you new fans, write posts for you, and report on results, all for one low monthly fee. If not, cancel and pay nothing.
Now people call me and say, I found you on Facebook. How cool is that?
You say it, we build it free.
Call 1-855-235-7998 today.
Hi, I'm Mike Reagan. If you think the worst of Obamacare is behind us, think again. Soon its new rules will affect every business, every insured person, and every Medicare recipient. That's why you need to protect yourself, your family, and your business with the Obamacare Survival Guide. It's easy to read, the fastest way for you to understand this law. The Obamacare Survival Guide gives you the tips, loopholes, and strategies you need to know. If you're insured on Medicare, a business, a medical professional, just about anyone, you need to get the Obamacare Survival Guide. It's a #1 New York Times bestseller, and already more than 500,000 Americans have gotten their copy. Newsmax says it's the best guide to the new law. The Obamacare Survival Guide is at bookstores everywhere, or get Newsmax's $4.95 special offer and save $15 off the cover price. Just go online now or call us today.
Now on Newsmax TV, what should America do with 10 million illegal aliens? Ben Carson reveals how the GOP can fix the problem. Watch it on Newsmax TV's Midpoint. Go now to Newsmax TV. Broadcasting live from the Newsmax studio in New York City, here is Steve Malzberg.
it would be a complete and total act of irresponsibility for the president just to order a few strikes, but there's no government, there's no backup, there's no military, there's nothing there that provides the capacity for success. So what we are doing is a deliberate, careful, thoughtful approach, listening to the people here, listening to the allies, listening to the partner countries in the region, and putting together something that can work.
All right. That was John Kerry the other day. Joining us now to talk about all of this mess is our friend Ralph Peters, retired Army Lieutenant Colonel, Fox News strategist. Hello, sir.
Hey, Steve, always great to speak with you.
I love talking to you. You tell it like it is, and you know exactly, of course, what you're talking about. All right, so is Iraq gone? I mean, is it lost?
Yes. Iraq is over, finished, done. I don't know what else you can say. Steve, this situation is just stunning to me. John Kerry and our State Department, our pathetic, destructive State Department, is more obsessed with protecting Iraq's borders and maintaining Iraqi territorial integrity than they are with defending Americans and protecting Americans. I mean, this is just preposterous. Iraq is over. It was actually over in 2003, and you may recall that a weird range of people, Joe Biden, Ambassador Peter Galbraith, myself, and a few others, said, look, this country doesn't work. It's artificial. The borders are drawn by dead Europeans. Break it up now while you have the chance. Instead, because our State Department is phobic about the idea of ever changing any border anywhere, in the view of our State Department, every line on the map today that represents a national border has existed since the Paleolithic era. And obviously it's not true. Borders change all the time. And we have given a lot of blood trying to preserve these phony borders drawn not just in Iraq by dead Europeans. Well, right now, there is a real American interest in Iraq. It is not in preserving the fiction of an integral Iraq and its pre-war borders. It is not in protecting the pro-Iranian, anti-American al-Maliki Shia government in Baghdad. Our interest is in pounding, crushing, killing, defeating Islamist terrorists wherever we can find them. And in Syria, before this, we saw the largest concentrations in the open of al-Qaeda and al-Qaeda-spawned terrorists ever, and Obama did nothing. They were just there waiting to be struck. He did nothing. Now, despite the fact that the White House, I can tell you from inside intelligence sources, the White House has warned and warned and warned and warned about the threat from ISIS, these son of al-Qaeda terrorists. They did nothing. Now you see they're seizing western Iraq, moving on Baghdad. And this is not going to be solved by negotiations. The hatreds are deep. It is a religious war between Sunni and Shia. There's no question about it. It's not about diplomatic niceties. It's not about policy differences. It is a religious civil war. It is brutal. It is going to get more brutal. We don't need to be in the middle of that by any means, but it is not in our interest to let ISIS, these Islamist terrorists, the deformed offspring of al-Qaeda, establish a caliphate state, a terrorist state in eastern Syria and western and central Iraq. We can't, if Obama allows the world's first pure terrorist state to emerge on his watch, my God, if that's not grounds for impeachment, I don't know what is. I mean, this is a real threat to the United States, far worse than Afghanistan was when it was hosting al-Qaeda. And Obama always wants to do the least. He doesn't want to be caught with any, with any responsibility. So he has sent 300 American hostages, currently known as military advisors, to Iraq. They're brave people, largely special operators. They're not going to turn the tide. They're not going to fix the Iraqi army. They could serve as forward observers for targeting, very, very dangerous work if we send in airstrikes. But I'm not concerned about preserving the Iraqi government and helping Iran by doing so. But I do think we should be taking this opportunity with airstrikes and eventually even other assets if necessary, but serious, determined airstrikes in eastern Syria, in Iraq, to smash this emerging caliphate before it takes deep roots. I mean, this is a direct threat to the United States.
Yeah, and it's certainly not being treated as such. Now, a story today in the New York Times, Ralph, that Iran is secretly, I guess it's not a secret, sending drones and supplies into Iraq. What's the role? What does Iran have to gain here if your scenario comes true?
Well, Iran has been behind the al-Maliki government from the start. Nouri al-Maliki, who John Kerry imagines could be made America's friend even now, is a tool of Iran. There's no question about it. That's where the power of the funding comes from. Iran is not only sending weapons into Iraq right now. It has advisors and special operators on the ground. Iraqi forces, Revolutionary Guards, Quds Force people have been on the ground for well over a week. And Iran is trying to make sure that the Shia, east of the Tigris and Euphrates rivers, the Shia portion of Iraq is not in any way subjugated or deeply harmed by these ISIS terrorists. Also, Iran would like to roll back the ISIS folks and take back the oil fields and the oil refineries because they're very, very important. Iran's long-term goal is to expand its own empire and control Iraq, as much of Iraq for as long as possible. And the majority of the population, the slight majority in Iraq, is Shia Arab. The Iranians are Shia Persians, but they identify as fellow Shia. So again, there is an American interest here. It is stopping the Sunni Islamist terrorists from creating a state.
Yeah.
There is, however, no American interest, none, in propping up the al-Maliki government. Let Iraq come apart. Stop trying to pretend. I mean, Steve, you and I have watched this for a quarter century. Even under the elder Bush, Jim Baker flew to the dying Soviet Union and tried to persuade it to stay together. We tried to persuade under Clinton Yugoslavia to stay together. The State Department's primary goal seems to be not to protect America and our interests,
Iraq,
but to protect Rand McNally in the maps.
Yeah, it is, boy, you spell it out so well. Ralph, always great to talk to you, sir. You don't paint a pretty picture, but we don't want a pretty picture. We want the real picture, and you just gave it to us. Thank you so much, my friend.
Thank you, Steve.
Ralph Peters, ladies and gentlemen, retired Lieutenant Colonel and Fox News strategist here on the Steve Malzberg Show. We also have reports of Syrian warplanes striking in western Iraq, killing at least 50 people. Just not good. And you heard Ralph's opinion of our State Department and our strategy. We're coming back. Don't go away.
Hi, I'm Joan London, and if you're worried about your parent or a loved one living alone like I was, and you want reliable senior care information, then call A Place for Mom, the nation's largest senior living referral service. You'll get free information on assisted living, Alzheimer's care, nursing homes, even important financial information.
They had obviously researched every place, not just given me names. They found me a place for what she could afford, and it was magnificent.
We're now very confident that she's safe, and they just helped every step of the way, and I can't thank them enough.
So if you're struggling to find reliable senior living information, call A Place for Mom. This is a free service, and you can trust them to help you.
Call right now to get your free Senior Care Compass ebook. Find out about the 5 best-kept secrets on financing senior care and assisted living.
To find out more, call 800-263-4151. That's 800-263-4151.
Meet John and Nancy. Like many people, John and Nancy have spent their whole lives working hard, saving their money and investing wisely, knowing that it would pay off in the end. But the reality is, today's world is not the same as it was. John and Nancy's stocks have taken them on a serious roller coaster ride, and it's all but destroyed their retirement funds. Their house is not even close to being worth what they paid, and to boot, their middle-class paychecks no longer cover their costs. All that hard work and smart investing has gotten them nowhere. In fact, they are no longer thinking about when they will retire, they're wondering if they'll retire. Then one day, John and Nancy heard about a man named Tom Hutchison, a veteran of Wall Street for over 2 decades. Tom noticed that the wealthy invested differently than normal people. and their methods seemed to be a secret they didn't want to share. So Tom left his job, compiled the strategies, and published them in the controversial book, Powerful Secrets to Achieve Superior Returns. John and Nancy immediately picked up a copy, began investing, and never looked back. Thanks to Powerful Secrets, John and Nancy now have investments that pay up to 20% a year. They learned about unique tax-advantaged investments, and their favorite chapter revealed a strategy that anyone can use to turn $50,000 into $1 million. Now, John and Nancy have control of their financial future in this new reality, and they have peace of mind about their investments that they never had before. Best of all, they are back on track to a secure retirement. To get your free copy of the book, Powerful Secrets to Achieve Superior Returns, simply visit www.myfinancialage.org.
Broadcasting live from the Newsmax studio in New York City, here is Steve Malzberg.
All right, folks, what's the difference between a cell phone, a smartphone, and let's say a wallet or a briefcase and a vehicle? Well, the Supreme Court weighed in on that today, and joining us to talk about what they ruled 9-0, or if this was a soccer game, it would be 9-0. Janet Johnson, criminal defense attorney, joins us. Hey, Janet.
Hey there, how are you?
Good to speak to you. Okay, so for privacy advocates, this was a big victory and a 9-0 decision. It seemed like the justices were in complete agreement, just about.
Which is surprising. You know, as a defense attorney, I'm going to be using this for sure. And I've actually had results that mirrored this, but it was basically the prosecutor saying, I'm not comfortable using this evidence. But what happened in this case, Riley, the police had a cell phone. That was Mr. Riley's cell phone. He was arrested, and a phone call kept coming through from my home. So the police ultimately answered the calls, went and looked through other numbers, traced that number to a house, went to the house and executed a search. And essentially what all of the justices said is, because smartphones have information that is just beyond what we've ever compiled in any one place, you need a warrant to get that information. And it's not that hard to do. The police just have to jump through that hoop.
Right, and they also said, and I think Justice Roberts said, get a warrant. Basically, there's a difference here compared to a pack of cigarettes or a wallet or something that could have something that's harmful to a police officer, an arresting officer. But a cell phone, once they make sure that it's not a gun, once they make sure it's not a weapon, what's on the phone, what's contained within the phone, is doesn't pose any immediate threat to the officer, so therefore they can't search it, correct?
Right. Well, that's a great point, because in Robinson, which is the case that preceded this, that they would argue allowed the search, there was a pack of cigarettes. So that's a great example. But, you know, any warrantless search under the Fourth Amendment is presumed to be illegal because the law requires you to get a warrant. There are exceptions, and those exceptions are the police safety. So when you talk about if it looks like a gun or it could be a weapon, they have the right without a warrant to act hastily and to basically search you or search the area. And the other example would be exigency. If there's some sort of evidence that you're going to lose because you had to go get a warrant, the police can act right then and there. The court said you can argue those all day long, which of course every government tries to argue when they're trying to get around the search requirement, but we don't buy it because it isn't an exigent situation, and it's not, getting a warrant isn't going to harm you.
Right. All right. Now let's move on before we run out of time. Janet, one other major decision today, and that deals with Aereo. They're a streaming TV service, and most of the networks went to court saying, "Hey, they're taking our property. They're taking our signals, our air signals, and they're streaming it out for everybody, and we lose, the value of our air signals." And the court agreed.
Yeah, and I've been following this, and I followed the argument, and I thought that they would rule against Aereo, but I think it's wrong. To me, it harkens back to the Betamax decision, which is 30, 40 years old at this point. No one has Betamax anymore. But at the cutting edge time when Betamax came out, there were people who argued, you're stealing our content. And the Supreme Court said, no, this is technology, and basically you have to keep up with it. This court, I don't think, gets that this is technology. And so they said, no, you look like a cable company, you act like a cable company, so we're going to treat you like one, and we're going to shoot you down.
Yeah, well, yeah, I see. I mean, the Betamax, you're talking about VCRs and taping programs?
Right, which, used to be considered illegal.
Right. Yeah. Well, yeah. But again, that's it's a little different because if as long as it's on, you're getting ratings credit for it. If it was even hooked up to a ratings TV. But this, I mean, I can see the point here of the network saying this is our stuff, and now this entity is taking it and distributing it. We're going to lose the value of what we have here. Very interesting, and I thank you for joining us for the first time. Hope you'll come back.
I would love to. Thanks for having me.
All right, thank you very much. All right, 2 Supreme Court decisions today, folks, and there will be more before the end of the session, which is rapidly approaching. Okay, we'll be back with Gary Bauer, and you're going to be very interested to hear what he has to say about secularism and more. But first, you know what it is. It's today's America's Moment, and today we take a look back at the Louisiana Purchase all the way back in 1803.
Thomas Jefferson is credited with doubling the nation's size through the Louisiana Purchase, but it was events far beyond his control that made that purchase possible. After becoming president in 1801, Jefferson recognized the Mississippi River had become a major trade route bordering the eastern boundaries of the United States. But he also recognized its vulnerability, since the city that controlled the mouth of the Mississippi, New Orleans, was owned by the French. America's overtures to purchase the city of New Orleans were repeatedly rejected by the French until 1803, when the French Navy suffered a major defeat off the coast of what is now Haiti. Napoleon found himself needing money to rebuild his navy. Consequently, when in that same year, Secretary of State James Monroe again traveled to Paris with an offer to purchase New Orleans, he was pleasantly surprised to learn Napoleon was willing to sell not only New Orleans, but all of France's territories in the New World. The United States was ready to spend up to $10 million to purchase just the city. So when Napoleon offered to sell all of their land holdings for a total of $15 million, the future president accepted. In one action, 828,000 square miles covering the future states of Arkansas, Colorado, Iowa, Kansas, Minnesota, Missouri, Montana, Nebraska, New Mexico, North Dakota, South Dakota, Oklahoma, Texas, and Wyoming became part of America for less than 3 cents per acre. For Newsmax TV, I'm Bill Curtis, and this...
Are you having problems with the IRS? Liens and levies, garnishments, seizures, penalties? Are you being audited? Our trained professionals at Wall & Associates can help. We've helped thousands of individuals and businesses solve their tax problems and save big money.
Having tax issues, it's very scary. I was worried that we would lose our house. When I called Wall & Associates, they were able to meet with me in person, and I never had to talk to the IRS again. It was like this heavy weight was just lifted.
Put a wall between you and the IRS. Wall & Associates has over 30 years of experience dealing with the IRS, and they can help you or your business.
Well, I opened the letter from the IRS, and man, I was shocked. So that's when I decided to call Wall & Associates. They got my levy released within 48 hours.
Call us now for a free consultation. We'll meet with you in person, face-to-face, at an office near you.
Call 800-745-2250. That's 800-745-2250. We solve tax problems.
Have you or your son taken the drug Risperdal? Risperdal has been linked with gynecomastia, a serious condition that causes boys and young men to grow female breast tissue. If you or your son develop breast after taking Risperdal, take action fast. You may be entitled to substantial compensation. Call the Risperdal Alert Helpline right now for a free, discreet evaluation of your claim. Many cases have already been settled out of court, so call us right now. Call the number on your screen today and let us help you get the compensation you deserve.
If you've always wanted an adjustable bed, now you can shop by phone and save on a new Craftmatic. Call for prices and free information. There's no obligation. Discover our 30-day in-home trial. There's no hassle, no pressure, no pain. No salesman will come to your home. Watch TV, read, rest, and relax at a price you can afford. So call for prices and free information. We won't be undersold.
Call 1-800-686-3106. That's 1-800-686-3106. Call now.
Hi, my name is John Bachman. I'm 34 years old, and I'm an anchor at Newsmax TV, and there's no place else I'd rather be. There is so much gloom and doom out there right now. People want to talk about problems, but that's changing. The conversation is changing. People want to talk now about solutions, and that is what Newsmax offers. I mean, if there's somebody who is going to contribute something to the conversation, we're going to try to talk to them.
Politics, commentary, entertainment, sports, news and opinion now. Here is Steve Malzberg.
All right, folks, you know the name very well. Gary Bauer, president of American Values and former Republican presidential candidate. And he joins us right now. Hey, Gary.
Hey, Steve. How you doing?
Good. Good to talk to you. It's been a while. Let me ask you. You made some news recently, talking about the secularist agenda of President Obama, and you were quoted as saying of Obama, he's repealed "Don't Ask, Don't Tell" for homosexuals and replaced it with "Don't Ask, Don't Tell" for Christians. What exactly did you mean by that?
Well, in the American military right now, unbelievably, there's been more and more pressure put on, originating in the White House, for believers in the military to not talk about that, to not share Bible verses with people. There's been cadets at the Air Force Academy and the other military academies that have been told they can't talk about their faith. Chaplains in the military have been warned that they must participate in a same-sex wedding and certainly not preach in any way that would undermine the views of the gay rights movement. And it just seemed to me to be incredibly ironic that we've gone from a point in our history when all of those rules applied to open homosexuality in the military. Now that's all been repealed, and it's Christians in the military that are being told to get into the closet and shut the door.
And you view this as part of just part of a broader policy of secularism by this president, correct?
Oh, look, the president and his allies, by their own description, are so-called progressives. Statistically, in the United States, people that use that appellation, that tag, that title, tend to be very secular. The Democratic Party gets an increasing percentage of its vote from people who are very secular, just as the Republican Party. And conservatism tends to get a larger share of their supporters from people that tend to be in church on Sunday, and folks that have religion plays a larger part of their life. So this is one of the big divisions between the left and the right in America.
And if this succeeds, if this continues, if we continue in this direction with this administration and possibly another administration, where are we headed as a nation, in your view?
Oh, look, we're headed to a disaster. Now, I know that just saying that will be seen by some as a provocative description or thought. But look, let me bring it back to the basics. The United States, and most of our kids don't realize this, the United States was built on a profoundly moral idea. You could even say religious idea that's smack in the middle of the second paragraph of the Declaration of Independence. We're the first nation in the world. We may be the only one since then that said in its founding document that our liberty does not come from government, not the president, not the Supreme Court, not the Congress, but from God. You're familiar with the words. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal and endowed by their creator. That was the God of Abraham. All of the founders believed this, that liberty came from God and that only a virtuous people could remain free. If we continue down this path of trying to rip all signs of religiosity out of the public square, we're destroying the basic idea of America. And it should be something of grave concern to everybody, not just social conservatives. I would suggest to my libertarian friends, it ought to be of grave concern to them, because there is no chance for small government if we get away from the idea that liberty comes from God and that only a virtuous people can remain free.
Gary, one more on a related topic, certainly. Just within a few hours of each other, a judge with regard to Utah and another one with regard to Indiana striking down their definition of marriage, their ban on gay marriage. And this is what's going on all over the country. It seems to me where people vote, where the voters are heard, the people vote for traditional marriage. But then, ever since the Supreme Court ruling, we've had a rash of federal judges and state judges coming in and saying no, unconstitutional, and they're changing it, with just a bang of the gavel.
Yeah, I don't know whether the emotion I most feel is anger or disgust. When you put down the list of all the things that have happened in the Obama years that have been terrible for our country, one of the top ones ought to be that more votes by more Americans and by those Americans' elected officials have been declared null and void by unelected judges than at any time in our history. That ought to disturb everyone, regardless of what their view is on same-sex marriage. If America is now a country where the opinion of the people means nothing, where the opinion of the people and the votes of the people can be struck down by a handful of judges, then we are in deep trouble indeed.
So you'd say they're usurping the will of the people, certainly, on the issue of gay marriage?
Absolutely, and I expected as much from the left. It is demoralizing to see how few Republicans are willing to publicly show their outrage about these kinds of decisions. And by the way, to my friends in the business community who think they don't have any kind of a stake in this, if judges can strike down these votes, if judges can tell Americans that their votes on these matters don't have no weight, does the business community think those judges won't authorize more regulation of big business, more laws passed that will hurt big business? We should be all in all this together, but large portions of the conservative coalition increasingly are unwilling to speak up in defense of the values of social issue voters, who are the largest part of the overall conservative coalition.
All right, let's turn to something that's been dominating the news lately, and that is the IRS scandal. I want you to listen to this.
Isn't the problem here, though, Josh, is that you have a key figure in this controversy.
I think you and I might have different ideas about what the problem is.
Well, here's the problem.
Right? Because I think the problem is that despite all of this, we have seen an unwillingness.
Right, but doesn't that sound like the dog ate my homework? When you have 2 years of missing emails, it just on the face of it doesn't sound credible, isn't it?
I guess if you listen solely to the arguments that are offered up by Republicans, you might have reason to question their credibility. I agree with that.
All right, that's White House spokesman Josh Earnest. Jim Acosta of CNN. Don't be fooled. Earnest went on to talk about how basically this is just a Republican-contrived non-scandal. When you hear of what the IRS has done, or losing the emails, throwing away the hard drives, the commissioner saying no apologies, I don't remember who told me about this, I was busy. What are we witnessing here, Gary?
Right. Look, this is just—it's astonishing. To the new White House press secretary, he may be setting a record on developing a credibility gap in the first 48 hours on the job. There's new polling out today that shows that only 12% of the American people accept the explanation of the President of the United States.
Yeah, the Fox News poll. Yeah.
Yeah. The president said just the other day, there's not a scintilla of evidence that anything inappropriate happened at the IRS. No, there isn't a scintilla of evidence. There's a tractor trailer truck worth of evidence that inappropriate things have happened at the IRS. And I think the White House has already lost this battle as far as public opinion goes. Whether or not anybody actually has to pay legally for what was done, unfortunately, is still an open question.
You may need a Justice Department to do that, and that's not going to happen here. Let me quickly take it back to Obama for a second. John Boehner announcing today that he's suing the president for circumventing the Constitution and lawlessness in certain respects. What's your take on that?
Well, better late than never. I think everybody's been frustrated at the inability of our side in Washington to come up with remedies for what is clearly an out-of-control administration that has ignored the Constitution, is issuing executive orders on all sorts of issues, although I note they have not issued one to help our veterans rotting away in VA hospitals around the country. I'm glad Boehner's doing it. I think there are other things that can and should be done. If, the election coming up in November, usually you have the most committed people voting. If Speaker Boehner and others aren't careful, they're going to go into the election with their own base demoralized by the lack of fight here in Washington. So I commend him, I encourage him, and whatever he had for breakfast today before he decided to announce this thing, I urge him to have it again tomorrow.
Yeah, that's a good line. I like that, and it's very apropos. Gary, thank you, sir. Nice talking to you.
My pleasure. Good to be with you.
Thank you. Gary Bauer, president of American Values and former Republican presidential candidate. And folks, coming up next, you know it, you love it, you gotta have it. It's Gimme 5, only, I say only, here on the Steve Malzberg Show on Newsmax Television.
A.m. and you're up again for the third time. It's not just affecting your sleep, it's interrupting your daily life. Frequent trips to the bathroom due to an aging prostate is a common concern, but you can now do something about it with Prostate Revive. Doctor-formulated Prostate Revive is an all-natural dietary supplement packed with 15 powerful ingredients, focused on improving prostate health by targeting the two main sources of prostate concerns, rogue testosterone and inflammation. And now, in this limited time offer, you can try Prostate Revive absolutely free. That's a free bottle, a 30-day supply of Prostate Revive, risk-free. Plus, if you call right now, you'll also receive our free report, A Doctor's Guide to a Healthy Prostate. Call now for details on getting your free bottle, plus our doctor's report. Call 1-800-659-REVIVE. That's 1-800-659-REVIVE. Don't be a victim of an aging prostate. Start getting the sleep you need and get your life back with Prostate Revive. Claim your risk-free bottle now at 1-800-659-REVIVE.
Endless pools are an incredible alternative to traditional pools, making it easy and inexpensive to swim at home. Call our toll-free number or visit our website. A free idea kit and DVD will be sent to your home so you can discover all the benefits of owning your own pool. Compared to traditional pools, endless pools are simple to install, easy to maintain, and economical to run. Our precision-engineered pools enable you to swim or exercise against a smooth current that adjusts to any speed and ability. Endless pools are perfect for year-round health and fitness, relaxation, and family fun. Our free idea kit and DVD will show you how easy it is for the whole family to enjoy a pool right in your backyard or home. An endless pool or an endless pool swim spa can become a showplace for your home. Call our toll-free number or visit the website to find out more about endless pools. The free idea kit will show you just how easy it is to be able to swim at home.
Do you owe back taxes to the IRS? Are you struggling to make ends meet because you owe more in taxes than you can afford to pay?
The IRS is relentless and will collect from you. They can garnish your wages or place a levy on your bank account. You have rights, and you can stop them by calling the tax resolvers.
If you owe more than $10,000 in back taxes, our qualified CPAs, tax negotiators, and support staff know the law and know how to get your situation under control legally and permanently.
Call the number on your screen now, and we will contact the IRS on your behalf. Help you end wage garnishment, stop collection calls, remove tax liens, resolve tax penalties, and reduce the amount you owe if you qualify.
It's a free call and a free consultation, but we can only help if you pick up the phone and dial the number below.
You wouldn't fix your car without going to a mechanic, so why face the IRS without an experienced company that can help you?
If you owe more than $10,000 in back taxes, call now and find out how we can help you resolve your IRS problems.
Call the Tax Resolvers at 800-489-3480.
In the small town of Elmira, New York, a boy was born into an all-American family. The odds of him opening his own clothing store at the age of 18? 1 in 138,000. Excited to be a part of pop culture, he packed for the big city. The odds of finding someone to invest in his vision? 1 in 4.5 million. The odds of him achieving his dream in the fashion industry? 1 in 23 million. The odds of having a child diagnosed with autism? 1 in 68. I am Tommy Hilfiger, and my family is affected by autism. Learn more at autismspeaks.org/signs. Early diagnosis can make a lifetime of difference.
But what we're seeing is that there was oversight. They're trying to figure out how to make sure that these Tea Party, Tea Patriot, these various new groups don't abuse IRS regulations in terms of claiming that they are nonprofits and tax exempt. And they then, I think, took a shortcut, is what we know for the record, that they made bad decisions and said we're going to flag anything that's called Tea Party and Patriot and et cetera. This whole idea that we're now to Watergate and burning tapes, I mean, that's quite a leap for me.
Juan Williams, welcome to Gimme 5. How is that quite a leap? You got the key players at the IRS all losing their emails and throwing away hard drives. And that's a leap? I don't see how that's a leap, and neither does George Will.
It's a leap with 6, not only Lois Lerner's hard drive crashes, 10 days after they get the letter from Dave Camp, the chairman of the appropriate committee, but 6 others do, including those of the person who was the chief of staff to the IRS commissioner who was fired. And you know what the response to this is? Charles talks about the incompetence demonstrated here, and that's the default explanation of what government does a lot of the time. But the beauty of this, it's an almost elegant thing. Commissioner Koskinen has said, as the perfect bureaucrat would, that all of this is evidence that the IRS needs a bigger appropriation so it can get better computers.
It's absolutely true. The Democrats are saying, oh, the budget's been slashed. How do you expect the IRS to do their job? How could they be expected to keep their emails and follow the law? They don't have enough money, the IRS. And here's Krauthammer.
Well, that's what Nancy Pelosi said. Her answer to a corruption scandal, a missing evidence scandal, is we need better technology, more money. That's the default answer of a liberal to every issue involving government.
Yeah, just about. He's absolutely right. I mean, obviously, Juan Williams is outnumbered, but I've seen the polls, and Juan Williams is in the minority when it comes to public opinion on this as well. Here's more.
This requires an extremely improbable degree of coincidence. 6 computers, hers goes down, nobody can locate it, there's no reporting of it, and all of us know from our own experience that emails never die. All of a sudden, these have died precisely. You say there were tons of emails that were released. Yes, but these are the ones precisely that would connect the IRS with other agencies.
You don't know that, Charles.
No, but that's how they were tagged. That's how.
No, Charles.
These are the ones that they are looking for, the ones that went outside the IRS. And that's exactly what they're looking for.
Yeah, he's right. Juan, no, don't say no, Charles. Yes, Charles. It's absolutely correct. Now here, Juan Williams weighs in a little bit more.
You talk about the IRS in a boneheaded way, sort of not getting right the investigation of whether the groups went over the line about the 501c4. No, this is a deliberate attempt by the administration to sideline these politically conservative groups in the days.
You don't have, as the president said, you don't have an iota of proof. You had partisan
any agency
hold hearings, nothing.
Any
agency, the IRS, the IG has said yes, it was politically motivated, but no outside influence and no evidence of corruption.
No evidence of corruption. Maybe because the evidence was thrown away. Come on, Juan, be intellectually honest here. How can anybody who doesn't have an axe to grind say that there's, quote, there's not one iota of impropriety, which is what the president said, until we see those emails that are gone? One more.
So when the National Archivist says any agency is required to notify us when they realize they have a problem, when they realize that they've lost emails,
yeah, I just don't
that it's
think
against
that's
the federal records.
That's not what we're here talking about. We're talking about if the IRS was being used to punish political
There would
opponents.
have been no evidence of Richard Nixon's involvement in obstruction of justice if his tapes had suffered the same fate that Lois Lerner's hard drive has suffered.
Yeah, very good question, George. And why aren't we talking about what the archivist said? The archivist wouldn't say the words the IRS broke the law, but he did say they did not follow the law. Here we go again, parsing the language, Clinton speak. But I could draw from what he said, if you're not following the law in doing something, then you broke it. That's my interpretation. Interesting discussion. Steve Malzberg Show.
Attention! Do you have a motorized wheelchair or scooter that's broken? Now there's a Medicare and private insurance benefit that may fix your broken wheelchair. You need to call the experts at the Precision Repair Network. We're the specialists in repairing all makes and models of motorized wheelchairs and scooters. Call us 24/7. We'll come to you anywhere in the United States. We'll even give you a loaner to use if necessary. So call right now.
Not even this floodlight is bright enough to light up a room. But now there's the new high-tech torchlight from Bell & Howell. Ordinary flashlights just have a narrow beam, but the torchlight has a brighter, wider beam that brilliantly lights up the entire room. Its 28 ultra-bright LEDs give you over 100,000 hours of bright, reliable light. And look, the torchlight is also a flashlight that clearly lets you see wherever you go. The powerful magnetic base securely attaches it to any metal surface. And it even rotates an incredible 180 degrees. It's like having an extra pair of hands. Use it at your computer, as a table lamp, or to light up those dark, unlit areas. It's weatherproof, and with the built-in hook, you can hang it anywhere. The Bell & Howell torchlight is yours for just $10. But wait, call now and we'll double your order. That's 2 for the price of 1. Just pay separate processing and handling. Order your torchlight now.
To order your torchlight and receive a second one free, have your credit card ready and call toll-free 1-800-715-4500.
Are you a man over 40 and feeling tired, losing muscle, have less romantic drive? Then call now for the Ageless Male free testosterone giveaway. Every man who calls in the next few minutes will receive a free 30-day supply of Ageless Male. Ageless Male has ingredients clinically shown to increase free testosterone levels, and that supports muscle health, boosts romantic drive, and supports energy metabolism. Your free 30-day supply is waiting for you.
All right, folks, it's hour number 2 of the Big Steve Malzberg Show, and lots of news to cover. James Taranto, columnist for the Wall Street Journal and editor of OpinionJournal.com, will be here to discuss the elections last night, Thad Cochran's victory. We'll also talk about the IRS scandal and Iraq. Lots going on. Then Dr. Casey Mulligan, professor of economics at the University of Chicago. He'll be here to discuss Obamacare's unpleasant welfare arithmetic and other underlying problems with the Affordable Care Act. Then Charles Hurt from the Washington Times. He has a column out today, Bring Obama Your Huddled Illegal Youths. He invited them, as well as his takeaway from yesterday's primaries. And then, give me 5. That, more, all straight ahead on this hour of the Steve Malzberg Show.
Ready? Fire away.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Broadcasting live from the Newsmax studio in New York City. A fusion of politics, commentary, entertainment, and sports. Steve and his team bring you the latest news and opinion now. Here is Steve Malzberg.
All right, folks, welcome back to the Steve Malzberg Show, hour number 2. I want to tell you something that you may not know about the man who is the IRS commissioner, who we have played so many video clips from his testimony to the various congressional committees. Let me tell you a secret here. according to CNSnews.com, IRS Commissioner John Koskinen has contributed more than $85,000 to Democratic candidates and committees. This according to the Media Research TV Research, MRC TV Research. They've discovered $5,000 donation to President Obama in 2012, $19,000 donation to the DNC from 88 to 2008. And wow, you know, one might speculate that the fawning all over the IRS commissioner by the Democrats on these various committees, thanking him for his service. I mean, just bizarre kinds of comments in light of what's going on. Who knows? Who knows how many of these specific Congress people he may have contributed to? I mean, this just gets, shall we say, smellier and smellier as we learn more and more. So $85,000 to Democratic committees and Democratic candidates, including Barack Obama, including the DNC, from the man who is now the IRS chairman and who is, has undergone some tough questioning and really hasn't been forthcoming with any answers or any real apologies. I want you to hear something Van Jones had to say. I never thought I'd really say that, but he is on Crossfire on CNN, former, of course, Obama administration official. And listen to what he said about Hillary.
I feel badly because I actually like her a lot, but I think she's blowing it. And I think she's actually emboldening. If I were Elizabeth Warren, if I were Schweitzer, I would be sharpening my pencils and getting ready to go because I just think that she comes across badly. I wonder, and you know, you've been in public life and you know it's tough. I wonder if, you know, when she tries to come back from some of these injuries, if there's not still a sense of aggrievement there that sometimes creeps into her comments.
Yeah, sometimes creeps into her comments. He says she's coming off badly. He thinks that Elizabeth Warren and anybody else on the left, to the left of Hillary, they're sharpening their pencils or should be sharpening their pencils. Now, you know, it was Bill Kristol, if I'm not mistaken, who predicted at the beginning on this show, predicted at the beginning of Hillary's book tour that by the end of her book tour, her approval ratings would sink significantly. And they have gone down significantly. And she has committed, you know, let's call it gaffe. I mean, that's what they said about Mitt Romney every time he opened his mouth. Let's call it gaffe. She's committed gaffe after gaffe after gaffe. And had to walk things back, change her tune. And it really doesn't come across as a likable, sympathetic, you know, political character anymore. All right, James Toronto's here. Before we get to him, let's all watch this.
You state that when agencies become aware of unauthorized destruction of federal records, that they are required to report the incidents to the archives. At any time in 2011, through last Monday, did the IRS report any loss of records related to Lois Lerner? No. Is it fair to say that the IRS broke the Federal Records Act?
They're required, any agency is required to notify us when they realize they have a problem that could be destruction or disposal, unauthorized disposal.
But they didn't do that.
That's right.
Did they break the law?
I'm not a lawyer.
All right, and that exchange went on to the point where the archivist said they didn't follow the law. So James Toronto, columnist for the Wall Street Journal, editor of OpinionJournal.com. So did they break the law?
It sounds like it, although I think the archivist was appropriately cautious in not answering that question directly, but saying that they didn't follow the law. That's about all he has the authority to say here. What's really interesting, have you seen the new Fox News poll about this?
Yes, why don't you could fill us in, but yeah, from what I've seen, the American public is on board with wanting more answers and not trusting what's going on here.
Yeah, here's the question Fox asked, and I quote, "The Internal Revenue Service says that 2 years' worth of emails from IRS employees about targeting conservative and Tea Party groups were accidentally destroyed because of a computer crash and cannot be recovered. Do you believe the IRS that the emails were destroyed accidentally, or do you think that they were destroyed deliberately? I notice that doesn't leave open the possibility that they weren't destroyed and are just being covered up.
Right.
But let's leave it at that. This gives a pretty good idea where public sentiment is. Now, if you had asked me to guess how many people believe the IRS, I think I would have said somewhere between 30 and 40%. And the reason I would have said that is because this scandal has been framed by the president and by his allies in the Democratic Party and the media as a sort of partisan witch hunt. The president himself said in February there's not a smidgen of corruption here, just some boneheaded decisions. And so I would expect Obama's hardcore supporters to stand with the IRS on this. Obama's approval rating seldom drops below 40%. It occasionally goes down into the high 30s, but it was 41% in this poll. So I would think about somewhere between 30 and 40% of people would believe the IRS. The actual outcome of the poll was 12% believe the IRS, 70% disbelieve the IRS and think that documents were deliberately destroyed. The remaining 12% don't know. I think that that's a stunning show of no confidence from the public in this agency.
I couldn't agree with you more. And, you know, there's been many comparisons, as you wrote about in the Journal, different Watergate has come up lately in different areas. But, you know, people talking about making comparisons, the missing emails that have been thrown away or whatever, destroyed, and the Nixon, the tape, the gap.
Yeah, although there are two ways in which this appears to be and is potentially worse than Watergate. One is Watergate targeted the president's political enemies. This targeted ordinary citizens who were critics of the government. It's much more sweeping and much more intrusive. And the second is that if we believe the administration that the IRS was not acting under orders from the president or his political team, and that's still an open question, but if we believe that, then the IRS was acting on its own. The IRS essentially hijacked itself, that turned into an enemy of the people. If Watergate was a cancer on the presidency, this scandal, if it is not politically directed, is a cancer on the administrative state.
Now, with Watergate, however, some might say justice was done. You know, people were fired, things happened, people resigned. You know, the whole the massacre. You know, things happened. People were held accountable one way or another. With our Justice Department, they're not going to hold anybody accountable. It certainly looks that way. The president, the White House, as of yesterday, still arguing with reporters that this is a Republican witch hunt. They're not going to fess up and hold anybody responsible. Is anybody going to suffer any consequences here?
Well, let's remember that Watergate took a while to unfold, too. I mean, the burglary happened in the summer of 1972, in July, I believe, and it wasn't until August of 1974, more than 2 years later, that the president resigned. There was skepticism about it in much of the media. The New York Times didn't give it much coverage, while Woodward and Bernstein at the Washington Post were developing the story. It was a slow process. And by the way, the massacre was the firing of the special prosecutor. Right. It was not the firing of somebody who was implicated in the scandal.
Right.
And so, you know, the Nixon White House fought back too. The problem here is you have the media, by and large, naturally on the side of the administration, and so for the most part, with the newspaper I work for, an obvious exception, the media are not pressing this the way they eventually did, if a bit slowly, with Watergate. But this Fox poll also asked people, do you think Congress should continue to investigate? And 71% said yes, only 25% said no.
Which, by the way, James, oddly enough, is in line with one Hillary Clinton, who, when asked about this, said, and during one of her interviews on the book tour, said anytime the IRS is involved, it's a scandal. And she said that, you know, the investigation should continue.
Yeah, but that was a very equivocal answer. If you look at the way she put that, first of all, that any time the IRS is involved is a way of turning a specific statement into a general statement. What she said, she was asked by the guys on Fox News, Brett Baer and Greta Van Susteren, I forget which one of them posed this question, if she agreed with President Obama that there's no corruption here. And she said, well, I think what the president was trying to say was that this needs to be investigated in a nonpartisan way. Well, that's not what the president was trying to say. What the president was trying to say was, there's nothing to see here, move along, I'm a victim here, and, so I don't think that Mrs. Clinton's answers were particularly credible there. I think she was trying to have it both ways.
All right, let's talk about another great piece that you wrote in the Journal the other day, the mindless Iraq debate. And it has gotten, God forbid anybody who had anything to do with the Bush administration should speak up and give their opinion, especially one Dick Cheney. They are just ripped apart, and it just shows that Bush derangement syndrome is still a disease with no cure.
Yeah, the debate on the left has mostly been about just who should not be allowed to speak on this. So is it anyone who supported the Iraq effort initially, which would include John Kerry, Hillary Clinton, Joe Biden, Harry Reid, and any number of other people who switched sides? Or is it just neocons? Is it anyone who was in the Bush administration? It's a very silly debate because you can't actually stop people from arguing about it. But I think this is a way of diverting attention from the Obama administration's failures. I mean, Obama says he inherited this mess. He says that about everything, and he's been saying it for 5 years. But this isn't actually an inheritance. This is a responsibility that he sought out and that the American people gave him. At some point, you have to hold him accountable. You have to hold his administration accountable for its actions. But the debate has gotten so bad that Jonathan Chait of New York Magazine has emerged as the voice of reason. He came out last week and said the problem with this debate is that it prevents the left from thinking about Iraq. And this is a real problem because the left controls the executive branch. The left is making foreign policy decisions. And it's more urgent now than it was in 2002, 2003, or 2006 that the left be able to think clearly about it, because this is a terrible problem. The solution is not obvious. Right. But the responsibility falls on these people to figure out what to do about it.
Right. The solution is not blame Bush and shut up anybody who supported us going in the first place. James, always great to talk to you, sir. Thank you so much for coming on.
All right, thanks.
Take care. James Taranto, ladies and gentlemen, Wall Street Journal and Best of the Web and OpinionJournal.com, you name it, he's there. Very interesting conversation. When we come back, another very interesting conversation. I can assure you we're going to talk with Professor of Economics, Dr. Casey Mulligan. A lot to talk about with him. And of course, every day we get new economic statistics, and the GDP downgraded today, readjusted downward. We'll talk about it coming up.
If you're under the age of 85, please watch this very important message about final expense insurance. While it's never easy to talk about planning for one's funeral, it is very important to do so for many reasons. If you don't have life insurance, a final expense insurance plan pays cash to your family for final and all other expenses. If you're unable to purchase life insurance due to a pre-existing or current medical condition, call us right now for information and a free consultation. Perhaps you can't afford life insurance because of your age or because you're a smoker. Call us now and we'll guarantee you coverage. There are no tests to take and it's very affordable. Rates will never increase, the policy cannot be canceled, and there are no restrictions on how your beneficiaries can use the money. Don't delay. Call right now.
Call 1-800-842-1474, 1-800-842-1474, 1-800-842-1474, 1-800-842-1474.
Are you feeling tired, run down, low on energy? Well, you could be just like millions of Americans whose thyroid gland isn't functioning the way it's supposed to. Well, now there's hope to change all of that. Introducing Actolin. Actilin is a premium nutritional supplement designed to support optimal thyroid function. Actilin has 17 powerful ingredients that support adrenal health, thyroid function, energy, and your immune system. Actilin was formulated by the renowned holistic practitioner, Dr. David Brownstein. And now, for a limited time, you can get a free bottle of Actilin with our special offer. You pay only for shipping and handling. Act right now and get Dr. Brownstein's free special report, A Doctor's Guide to a Healthy Thyroid. Get Actilin and the special report. Sign up today at getactilin.com. That's getactilin.com. Or call us at the number below.
Now on Newsmax TV, what should America do with 10 million illegal aliens? Ben Carson reveals how the GOP can fix the problem. Watch it on Newsmax TV's Midpoint. Go now to Newsmax TV. Politics, commentary, entertainment, sports, news and opinion now. Here is Steve Malzberg.
All right, folks, it's not often you have a man who could explain the whole economy to you in such simplistic terms. Dr. Casey Mulligan, professor of economics at the University of Chicago. Welcome. Great to see you.
Thank you, sir.
And congratulations, because tonight you're getting a very prestigious award, the 2014 F.A. Hayek Prize. Explain what the significance of that.
Well, Hayek maybe is one of the best economists ever, so to be mentioned in the same sentence with him is a great thrill for me.
Well, good for you. Congratulations. And I want to talk to you about your book, The Redistribution Recession, How Labor Market Distortions Contracted the Economy. But I also first want to start with today's news about the GDP, which was revised. It was already a negative GDP, and it was revised even further to the negative side. Explain that in layman's terms briefly, and does it mean much?
Well, we were blaming it just on winter.
Right.
Now winners, we owe winter an apology. There's something more fundamental there. And we'll see what that is. But I think Obamacare, if it's not this quarter, one of these quarters, we're going to see the economy shrinking effects of Obamacare. Obamacare is going to make our economy smaller. Maybe it already is doing it.
Well, you wrote a great piece the other day talking about the massive tax increase hidden within Obamacare. You know, Obamacare is something that's been off the pages, off the front pages, off the back pages because of Iraq and IRS and you name it, the VA scandal. So Obamacare, even from the mouths of the Republicans, has gone way to the back. But it's important that we keep it at the fore, especially with what you write about. And why don't you talk about what the hidden tax is and what it means?
Yeah, instead of kind of European style of just saying, okay, we're going to pay for people's coverage and we're going to have a payroll tax to deal with that. The taxes got hidden. I guess it's a political strategy or something like that. And one of the things they do is instead of sending a tax bill to people who work and earn, they just say, we're going to hold back your benefits. So this new law is going to have goodies unless you happen to work or you happen to earn.
Right.
So that's the nature of the hidden tax.
All right, so the subsidy, you're talking about the subsidies. It was announced that the subsidies are going to a lot of people. A lot of people are going to get Obamacare, call it for free or call it for almost for free. They're going to get help, and that comes at the expense of the rest of us, correct?
And the rest of us can't get it even if we try because we work and because we earn.
All right, so there again is the de-incentive, if you will, to work.
Exactly.
Which is what the Democrats, for the first time, and this goes back a few months, if you recall, I'm sure you do better than I, when they talked about when the CBO talked about how this will disincentivize, if you will, people from working, and people like Nancy Pelosi and others were saying, oh, this is great, now they could stay home with their grandchildren, they could, play guitar or whatever. First time I could ever recall, elected officials saying, oh, it's good if you don't work. Where did that come from?
I hope you save those clips.
Oh, we have them.
When we have a recession next quarter or a few quarters from now, play those back. I mean, that's a great way to be run out of office during a recession, to be saying to people, enjoy it. You can relax now that we're not having you work so hard.
Well, you talk about negative GDP, and right away, it leads you to think of the definition of recession. And I was going to ask you, but I didn't go there yet because I didn't think we were going to be headed to many consecutive negative GDP reports. But you mentioned recession. Do you think we're in danger of a recession again soon?
For sure. That because Obamacare is going to eventually make the economy smaller, I can't tell you when it's going to happen, but if you're going to go to a lower level, you have to go downhill for some period of time. So especially in the labor measures, employment to population ratio, that type of measure has to go south of where it is.
What do you advise Republicans to do? Right now, they're kind of powerless to do anything. They could pass bills in the House, as they have done, and people make fun. Oh, you're repealing Obamacare again, ha ha ha. They voted to make tweaks to Obamacare as well as repeal it a couple of times, but it never gets brought up for anything in the Senate. So as long as we have the current structure, I guess there's not much to be done. But if the Republicans were to present a plan going forward, even just to run on in November, what would you suggest they say, if we had power, if we were running things, here's what we would do? Total repeal of Obamacare?
I think smoking's not popular anymore, but I take one of those Zippo lighters and use it on Obamacare. That's a great start. It's inexpensive because there's so many problems in there. And then you want to start from square one, and there are ways to improve the healthcare sector. But we don't need to do it at the same time we do a massive redistribution toward people who aren't working and aren't earning.
Yeah, all right, so you don't know, you're not predicting this recession coming up in this year or next year, but you know if this goes forward, it's going to happen.
Yeah, you have to go downhill at some point. It's hard to say. We don't have the research to say exactly what month that's going to start.
Your book, The Redistribution Recession, talks about how subsidies that have been intended to help the poor and people who need the help, everything's been turned on its head. Everything's been turned upside down. It's all been redefined. I mean, this is leading. Just look at the statistics, disability statistics, unemployment, extended unemployment benefits, et cetera, job force participation. It's leading to a dependent society, is it not?
Certainly is moving in that direction. And what's unusual and probably not good about these trends in the last couple of years, it's among prime-aged people. It's not, for a long time we had elderly people getting government assistance, not working, being retired. We've had that, but this is kind of new that to have, let's say, middle-aged people or working-age people working for a government check instead of a paycheck. And
people, you know, in their prime earning years, which I may have it wrong, but you know, in their 50s or for late 40s to 50s, I mean, that's like, you know, in the old days, which weren't that long ago, you built up your career, and by that time, that's where your peak earning years were. And now you got people unemployed, either taking jobs that are paying much, much less, or just giving up. Right. I mean, how could an economy, how could our economy, our type of economy, survive that for long?
Well, we could take a summer trip to France and get a good feel for that. It's been done before. I don't see it as the American way, but it's been done before. You survive.
But the alternative isn't good, is what you're saying.
I'm not moving to France anytime soon.
Right, yeah. So that's what lies in our future. Do you see that this is Obama's plan? Do you think he knows he's heading us in this direction, or this is all accidental and he really thinks it's going to turn around?
Yeah, I've wondered that. I'm not an expert on
just
economists.
Your opinion, yeah.
I'm an expert on the economy, not the economists.
Right.
It could be that the politics has prevented them from allowing to look carefully at the truth, and therefore they kind of forgot about some of the fundamentals. I doubt it was intentional, but again, I don't know.
Doctor, great to see you. Thank you very much.
You.
Even though the news wasn't great, Dr. Casey Mulligan, Professor of Economics at the University of Chicago, and enjoy the award. Thanks for coming up. We'll be back with more of the Steve Malzberg Show. Ladies and gentlemen, our friend Charles Hurt will be here shortly. Don't go away.
Hello, I'm Dr. Ben Carson. To save our health care, let's follow these principles. Our health is the most personal thing we possess. Its care must be under our control. Bureaucracy must be prevented from discouraging choice and innovation. Large-scale change shouldn't be imposed from the top down because you have the right to choose what's best for you. Your personal medical information should be your property, period. States should have the flexibility to develop their own options. You should be free to buy coverage consistent with your moral and religious beliefs. Physicians deserve to practice without the fear of frivolous lawsuits. Join me. Save our health care. Please sign our petition today.
Call 1-800-425-6299 or visit our website. Call 1-800-425-6299 and sign the petition to save our health care.
Save our health care. Sign the petition today.
American Legacy PAC is responsible for the content of this advertising.
The Great Recession and the financial crisis are finally over. The stock market is way up, and that means that now all senior homeowners are financially secure. Happy days are here again. Well, that's what they keep telling us, right? But if you're a senior, 62 or over, have you recovered financially? Have you magically replaced all your retirement money? Are you suddenly all set for retirement? With a government-backed reverse mortgage, you'll never make another mortgage payment again. Instead, you'll receive money in any number of different ways that you choose. The money you get is tax-free, and there are no restrictions on how to use it. With an all-new and improved reverse mortgage, you always retain ownership of your home, so you can age in place gracefully. And your mortgage does not have to be paid off to qualify.
It makes life much easier. That was the best thing I've ever done.
Call 1-800-548-6498, 1-800-548-6498.
If you want an adjustable bed, shop by phone and save on a new Craftmatic, the best-selling adjustable brand ever. Call for prices and free information. There's no obligation. Our everyday low prices are guaranteed. Compare us to the leading memory foam brand and save hundreds, even $1,000 or more. Discover our 30-day in-home trial. We won't be undersold. There's no hassle, no pressure, no pain. No salesman will come to your home. Convenient delivery, installation, and in-home service in the continental U.S. Watch TV, read, eat, rest, and relax at the touch of a button. Enjoy personal heat and soothing massage at a price you can afford. So why consider anything else? Discover Craftmatic for less, up to 50% less. Call for prices and free information and save hundreds, even $1,000 or more on luxurious memory foam. There's no obligation. Call now.
Call 1-800-686-3106. That's 1-800-686-3106. Call 1-800-686-3106. Call now.
Broadcasting live from the Newsmax studio in New York City, here is Steve Malzberg.
Don't hold it against me that I don't own a single stock or bond. Don't hold it, I have no savings account. But I get a great pension and I get a good salary.
But according to Biden's most recent financial disclosure, he has money in 11 different investment funds and as much as $15,000 in a savings account. His office says the vice president was telling the truth because the investments belong to his wife.
All right, you know, what can I say about this, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back. Joe Biden making a point to say he has no savings account, no stocks, no nothing, and then he's got investments in 11 different mutual funds and 15 grand in a savings account. I know it's not his, it's his wife's. Here we go again. Here we go again with the Clinton speak. Here we go again with the, well, you know, Clinton saying about Hillary, well, you know, she was technically right. We were in debt. We were broke. You know, to say I don't have anything, and then it turns out your wife has it. I'm sorry. It just smacks of disingenuousness to me anyway. But this vice president gets a pass. This man has always gotten a pass, except when he was accused of plagiarism, caught plagiarizing, I should say, accused of it. Well, I'll say caught because he dropped out of the presidential race back in, I think this was the 80s in some point. And of course, when he was running for president in 2008 in the Democratic primaries, he said some outrageously racist things, in my view, things that if it were said by a Democrat, by a Republican, they'd be gone. And in succession almost. Remember the 7-Eleven or Dunkin' Donuts? You got to have an Indian accent to walk into a 7-Eleven or Dunkin' Donuts in Delaware. Remember when he was asked, why is education better in Iowa than it is in D.C.? He said, well, how many minorities you got in Iowa? 2%? Look what you got in D.C. I'm paraphrasing. Racist? Racist? You decide. And Barack Obama is the first clean, articulate African-American to run for president. Clean? The others were dirty? You know, but hey, this guy gets a pass. He's just crazy old Joe Biden, baby. So do I expect the media to take him to task for this? Really? Because he said he has no savings and he has no stocks, and it turns out there's 11 mutual funds and 15 grand in savings? No, because it's his wife's, you see. Oh, well, that explains it. I want you to watch this.
The point is, more important is not how much they make or how much they have. The point is, what can they do in terms of solving the nation's problems and doing something remarkable for the middle class and income inequality.
Yeah.
It's the quality of their ideas, not their bank account.
Not their salaries. I mean, Vice President Biden was long known as one of the poorest members of Congress. He makes $230,000 as vice president. But I think more importantly than nitpicking on what people say is the policies that they carry out. We've got to be, as journalists, more serious about examining the
income
policy.
inequality.
And it doesn't matter what they say. Did you hear this? It doesn't matter what they say. It doesn't matter how much they have. We have to, as journalists, we have to be more concerned about investigating the policy on income inequality. Really? Really? Is that how they react to Republicans who make false statements or misleading statements? Well, you know, it doesn't matter what he says. Let's just look at the record. Let's look at his heart. Let's look at who he is and what he's fought for his whole life. That's just how they treated Mitt Romney, wasn't it, if I'm not mistaken? Remember, Mitt Romney was responsible for killing a man's wife because Bain bought a company that went out of business, and eventually she lost her health insurance, and eventually she died. That was Mitt Romney's fault. He should have charged him with murder. See, it doesn't count if you're not telling the truth and you're a Democrat. But if you're a Republican, watch out, baby. Charlie Hertz next. Don't go away.
Hello, I'm back this week with this very important question. Is your doctor taking your blood pressure correctly? You may assume so, but a new study shows you may be wrong. According to this new research, doctors often cut corners when taking blood pressure and record readings that may be much too high. This is important information. First, if your blood pressure reading is wrong, you could be misdiagnosed with high blood pressure and put on powerful drugs for the rest of your life. You could also be denied health insurance, and your job may even be put in jeopardy. This is important information, so pay close attention. Number one, is your doctor using the right size blood pressure cuff? Cuffs come in two different sizes, average and large, but too often only the average size cuff is even used, even on the person with a larger forearm. If the cuff is too tight, the reading will be too high. Number two, is your blood pressure taken in both of your arms? Doctors are taught that this is not mandatory, but it should be. Even a small difference between the two pressure readings can mean you are at great risk of suffering from a stroke or even dying of heart disease. And number three, is your blood pressure taken when you are seated on the examining table with your legs dangling in the air? If so, your reading may be 10 points too high. You should be seated in the chair with your feet on the floor and your legs apart and relaxed. Don't cross your legs at either the knees or the ankles. Remember, if your doctor doesn't take your blood pressure the correct way, you could be putting your health at risk. Many of you already have my book, The Simple Heart Cure. So if you do, you can read all about high blood pressure in Chapter 8. That's my health tip for this week. I'll see you next week with another important Heart Health Minute.
Get your copy of Dr. Crandall's best-selling book, The Simple Heart Cure, for just $4.95 with this special offer. Go to www.simpleheartbook.com to get your copy today. That's simpleheartbook.com.
Victims of mesothelioma and lung cancer caused by asbestos and their families may be entitled to receive a cash award from over $18 billion in asbestos trust funds now available. If you or a loved one was diagnosed with mesothelioma or lung cancer caused by asbestos, call the number on your screen now. Even if a loved one has passed due to mesothelioma or asbestos lung cancer, you may still be entitled to a cash award. Mesothelioma is a rare cancer caused by exposure to asbestos. Many victims were in the Navy, shipyards, or power plants, or worked in the construction, plumbing, insulation, or automotive trades. Many more were exposed in and around their homes. For nearly 30 years, we have successfully helped thousands of victims and families get the financial compensation they deserve. Time is limited. If you or a loved one has been diagnosed with mesothelioma or lung cancer caused by exposure to asbestos,
call 1-800-290-4243 now.
Who looks better, bald Milo or Milo with hair? What about this guy, bald Torrance or Torrance with hair? If you think that you'd look and feel better with hair, now you can do something about it. Introducing the world's first and only permanent solution to hair loss. You wash it, you cut it. It's your own real, naturally growing hair. When it comes to hair restoration, no one in the world has more experience than Bosley. The results look completely natural and are affordable on nearly any budget. To find out more about this clinically proven and permanent solution to hair loss, call now to receive your free no-obligation information kit. It'll answer all of your questions about hair loss and hair restoration. Plus, we'll also send you this $250 gift certificate just for calling. Every day you wait, you're losing more hair. So what are you waiting for? Choose hair. Choose Bosley.
Call 1-800-647-5986. That's 1-800-647-5986.
Politics, commentary, entertainment, sports, news, and opinion now. Here is Steve Malzberg.
All right, folks, we are joined right now by our friend, columnist for the Washington Times, Charles Hurt. Hello, sir.
Hey, Steve.
Good to talk to you as always.
Indeed.
You know, I'm glad with all the talk about the IRS and everything else, I'm glad that you wrote about what you wrote about today, and that is the illegal children coming across our border, because you know it's hard to prioritize and in order of importance.
Which scandal?
Yeah, it really is. I mean, you know, let's not forget the VA, and let's not forget what's going on in Iraq and the threat to our security, and yeah, it goes on and on. But this,
I mean, do you ever remember? I mean, honestly, not to interrupt, but do you remember a time when there was? It's almost dizzying, and it's almost like you can get away with more if you just have so many crazy things going on at one time. Your opponents don't even know what to focus on.
I couldn't agree with you more. It is mind-boggling, and you don't know what to focus on, and that's the problem. So I'm glad you wrote about this in your own unique manner, and it's such an entertaining column, while it is, of course, an important column. And you start by saying death trains rumbling through Mexico, teeming with children, headed for the U.S. border. Teenage girls raped, unspeakable violence at the hands of ruthless coyotes, and carrying out President Obama's stunningly reckless new foreign policy. And this is absolutely true. And you would think that this would be an amazing outrage and steps taken immediately to rectify it, but it just keeps continuing.
Steve, the big-hearted liberals out there, I know people like this, who they would give the shirt off your back, they'll do anything, you know, they drive down the road and they see a little kitten on the side of the road and their heart breaks for it because it's in agony, and they pull over and they bring it home. How do you not look at this, at the carnage on the border right now, and see what it's just? It really is a humanitarian crisis at this point, and it is a humanitarian crisis that has been caused by this administration, this president's policy. And now he would argue, well, I haven't stated a policy that says that all these children are going to come here. Well, okay, but that is exactly what you did when you issued this ultimatum across the board that children in the United States would be legalized. Illegal children in the United States would be legalized. The message that was received by all these people across South and Central America and Mexico was that, oh, all we got to do is get there, and we'll be home free. We'll be made citizens. And it was that message that has given them all permission to come and just turn themselves in. And Steve, when they turn themselves in, the Border Patrol, they have nothing that they can do with them. They can't. The reason that they're searching out for other illegals living in the United States to hand these children off to is because they don't know what to do with them. And you know what that means? That just means that many more illegals are just the problem is just compounded even worse. And there's no one to blame but President Obama and his executive action that he promised.
Absolutely, and the proof, part of the proof, is this the revelation of this ad that appeared back in January, where they were looking for escorts, if you will, for illegal children in this country. And that many say that they were taking out an ad. Homeland Security was taking out an ad in anticipation of what they knew here would happen.
Yeah, and there was a priest, and I've heard this from all corners. There's a priest testifying for Congress today, talking about how this has nothing to do with policies. It all has to do with the violence in Central America. And yes, it does have something to do with the violence in Central America, but that is not why they came here. They might have fled Central America. They might have fled the violence. The reason that they came here, and they will tell you this, the Border Patrol agents, if you interview them and talk to them, that what they tell you is that the people walk up to them and say, "We're here, take us." They're not sneaking across the border. They're flagging down border guards in order to be detained, because they know that the United States policy for detaining illegals is to let them out and just let them roam the country for free. And of course, this leads to all sorts of services that we have to pay for. In terms of schooling and things like that, and if they show up in an emergency room, you can't turn them away. You can't say, "Oh, you look like you're a Mexican. We're not going to provide you with life-saving treatment." And of course, the ones that then go and commit crimes, then that's doubly expensive in terms of localities having to deal with them.
But Charles, you bring up two great points. I don't want to interrupt you either. But one is, getting on buses. They're getting on buses and planes in this country and being relocated. And as you write about in your column, when the word gets out, when they find out that these kids are headed there, they don't want any part of them, and usually they're canceled. But also the health hazard here. I mean, where are these kids' health records? Your kid or my kid or any kid in this country can't go to school without a record of vaccinations, et cetera. These kids are coming in, so what are we going to do with them? Are we going to revaccinate them? Could you even do that? Do we know what shots they have, what shots they don't, what diseases they might have, how sick they might be? This is a health hazard on top of everything else.
And these are concerns that it's not just hateful, evil, right-wing people are spouting off about. These are President Obama's greatest supporters, that are also raising these exact questions. But just a minute ago you said that usually the plans get canceled when localities find out about it. But the truth is, we don't know, because the administration is going around sneaking around and quietly trying to place these people all over the country.
Well, I was talking about Chicago and Virginia, as you documented in your piece, but you're right. We don't know what's going on.
So and we only know the ones where the whistle got blown, and then they had to retreat. And of course, Democrats in Congress are quietly doing everything they can to help the White House find these localities. And as you say, once they get exposed, they drop it like a hot potato. But that doesn't mean that they haven't successfully located these aliens all over the place. We have no idea, because they're being so dishonest and so opaque about all of it.
Now, Charles, Hillary said that they got to go back. Now, Obama followed that up a few days later by saying they got to go back. Biden, in between both of them, I think said something to the effect, and he was in Guatemala, if I'm not mistaken, said most have to go back, which leaves the door open for and gives hope to people to keep sending them, because maybe mine will be the lucky one that doesn't go back. But there's no way to go back, because the explanation is if we could match them up with their parents. In other words, reunite them. Where are they going to find the parents?
Exactly. And if they actually mean what they're saying right there, that is the most dramatic reversal of policy that we've ever seen in a government. It's just never happened before. Of course they don't mean that. Of course they have every intention of trying to running out the clock, finding some way to just legalize all these people for pure partisan political reasons, of course, because they think that once these people become naturalized and are allowed to vote, they think that they're going to feel indebted to the Democrats and will always vote Democrat. And so that's the motive going on here. But you can't believe. I mean, if they really are serious about deporting illegals who are here illegally, and if they really are serious about sealing the border and stopping this from going on, then show me the slightest shred of evidence that suggests that they have ever made good on that promise before. I don't think you can find it. And the one excuse, the one thing they point to is they say that they claim that their deportation numbers are up. Well, that's because they took the books and started counting the people that they turned away at the border as deportations. That's not a deportation. They didn't get into the United States. They were at the border and they were stopped. But the administration now counts those as deported, and so that they can inflate their deportation numbers.
Charles, very quickly here, we only got a minute. Mexico's complicit in all this. We know, I've heard horror stories about what they do to people who come across their southern border. They don't treat them very well, let's put it that way. Yet they're letting all this go on, and they're holding our Marine like a dog in prison. It just disgusts me, and of course this president doesn't have the guts to tell Mexico, straighten out or else.
Yeah, and you're exactly right. In a lot of ways, having one neighbor, having this very dangerous, long, difficult border with just one neighbor, it's sort of a blessing for us. And the idea that we do not have a president who can deal with that one country, that one neighbor, to figure this out is just too bad.
Charles, we're out of time, but he doesn't want to figure it out, I think is the answer. Hey, thank you, sir. We'll see you in a few weeks. Thank you very much, Charles.
Thanks, Steve.
Take care. We're coming back, folks. Give me 5.
Is your mop a dirty, disgusting mess? You need the Hurricane 360 Spin Mop System, the only mop and bucket that spins the dirt away. A system that cleans practically anything and everything with super absorbent microfiber. Dip it in the washer side and the mess releases into the bucket. Then place it in the dryer side and push on the pedal. You get a clean mop pad that's practically dry and ready for more. And your hands will never again touch a dirty, disgusting mop. The heads are washable and reusable. Get the Hurricane 360 Spin Mop System for just 2 payments of $19.99. You'll also get a Sticky Buddy, the reusable sticky roller that picks up pet hair and lint and washes clean in seconds. You can take advantage of our 2-for-1 Pick It Up special and get a second spin mop set. Just pay additional shipping and fee. And we'll upgrade you to free priority handling. So don't wait. Order now.
Call 1-800-518-3953 to get your Hurricane Spin Mop double offer. So hurry and call now at 1-800-518-3953.
Meet Jim. Like many of us, Jim enjoys a busy life. Between work, family, and friends, his days zip along. And Jim has the energy to tackle almost anything. But lately, Jim's get up and go has literally taken on a new meaning. Jim's always put focus on a full night's sleep, but it seems like these days, he's up and down to go to the bathroom so many times he can barely wake up in the morning. His prostate concerns have him sad, tired, and worried. Activities that were once enjoyable now seem like a chore for Jim. His golf game is at the mercy of his bathroom schedule. Family outings are planned around it too. Jim even has difficulty going to the bathroom. He's tried so many prostate remedies he can't keep them straight. Nothing ever seems to help. Then Jim found out about Prostate Revive, the all-natural dietary supplement specifically formulated for men, targeted towards improving and sustaining normal prostate function. Prostate Revive includes 15 super ingredients never combined before, including saw palmetto extract, beta-cytosterol, pomegranate fruit extract, selenium, and other high-quality nutrients. These targeted and all-natural ingredients promote healthy urinary flow and optimal prostate health. And the best part is, Prostate Revive was developed by a renowned medical doctor. Dr. David Brownstein personally formulated Prostate Revive with one goal in mind: to promote a healthy prostate gland. Thanks to Prostate Revive, Jim's got his life back. He gets a full night's sleep every night, and his friends and his wife can't believe he's the same guy. He has his old energy back. No one has to wait for him. He doesn't even think about his prostate concerns anymore. Visit MedicSelect.com to take back your nights and improve your quality of life with Prostate Revive.
Learn about our risk-free trial offer at prostaterevive.com/Jim.
Life can hit you with the unexpected. Forcing you to make difficult decisions. Leaving you feeling helpless. You don't have to lose your home. It's time to take control. The National Foundation for Credit Counseling can help. The NFCC is a nonprofit organization that has been providing quality financial counseling and education for 60 years. Our national network of community-based member agencies have helped millions of consumers with foreclosure prevention. Seek advice from our certified housing counselors today. Call us or visit mortgagehelpnow.org. Real solutions for real people.
I thought I was okay. I couldn't see my legs below the knee. They were trapped under the driver's seat. Michael asked if I could move my toes. I said I could. And then, and only then, he told me that meant I wasn't paralyzed.
All right, folks. You know, I've taken Lawrence O'Donnell to task in the past. Welcome, by the way, to Give Me Five. Lawrence O'Donnell was in a bad cab accident overseas, along with his brother. And they were both injured. They both needed surgery for their injuries. Here, he was describing in his return to MSNBC last night the aftermath of the accident. And then he talks about how the NBC family, for which he works, came through for him.
You know those people who tell you that the company they work for is like family to them, and you don't believe them? How's this for family? A team led by the president of this network, Phil Griffin, and Pat Philly Crushell, head of the NBC News Group, worked through the night to get me back to New York for surgery, and they did exactly the same thing for my brother Michael. They didn't have to do that. They sure didn't have to get my brother out, but they did. That's what family does.
That's what family does. Very fortunate indeed that his network flew him and his brother back to stateside and provided for them the necessary facilities, brought them to the best facilities. And that leads us to why I'm bringing you this Gimme Five. How many times have you heard Harry Reid misrepresent the Koch brothers, call them un-American for their political beliefs, which is un-American in and of itself, the claim that is, and make believe that they're the only billionaires that are politically active when the left has a litany of billionaires, as documented by Jake Tapper the other day, and we brought that to you. But the Koch brothers, as I have talked about, have done wonderful things, provided wonderful things, hospitals for special surgery, for children, cancer centers. They've donated hundreds of millions of dollars. And guess what hospital wing they took Lawrence O'Donnell to?
Our planes landed in New York and Boston around midnight Sunday night. An ambulance took me to a place I had never heard of, the Hospital for Special Surgery. It's rated #1 in the country and therefore the world for orthopedic surgery. The first words I saw when I was rolled into the hospital was the name David H. Koch. Yes, that David Koch. Now brace yourselves, please, for the first positive words said about David Koch on this program. I agree with Harry Reid's critique of the Koch brothers' contributions to American politics, but that is not the only thing they contribute to.
No, it's not. And I hope when Lawrence O'Donnell says he agrees with what Harry Reid, that he doesn't believe the Koch brothers are un-American. You could disagree with them, but un-American, I hope he didn't mean that. But watch.
They have given $100 million to Lincoln Center. They have given huge amounts of money to medical research and treatment. David Koch has given over $25 million to the hospital that put me and many other men, women, and children back together, people with much worse injuries than I had. David Koch's money helped make their hospital experience a better one, and that is a very, very good thing.
Wow. Wow, wow, wow. Isn't that interesting? You know, God forbid it takes that kind of an accident or worse for anyone else to understand and realize that there's good in people, even if you think they're not good people. And that's what Lawrence O'Donnell found out. Here's one more.
F. Scott Fitzgerald spoke to what some of you are feeling right now when he said, "The test of a first-rate intelligence is the ability to hold two opposed ideas in mind at the same time and still retain the ability to function." You can pass that test. I know you can. You can be outraged by what the Koch brothers do with their money in politics, and you can appreciate what they contribute to hospitals and medical research. And you can do that at the same time and still retain the ability to function. Look, I'm doing it right now, and I'm still sort of functioning.
All right. Well, we're glad Lawrence O'Donnell's okay. I hope he clarifies. I hope he doesn't agree with Harry Reid that they're un-American. On the Steve Malzberg Show.
Meet John and Nancy. They've spent their lives working hard and saving money, knowing that it would pay off in the end. But unfortunately, all that hard work and smart investing has gotten them nowhere. Then one day, John and Nancy picked up a free copy of Powerful Secrets to Achieve Superior Returns. This book revealed 24 little-known investments that put them back on track to a happy and secure retirement. Get your free copy of Powerful Secrets at myfinancialage.org.
Mom? Mom? Oh.
This mom was lucky that her daughter happened to stop by. Can your mom or dad reach a phone in such an emergency? The solution is Life Alert. Life Alert saves a life from a catastrophe every 11 minutes.
Linda, thank you for finding Life Alert for me. I feel much safer having it.
Whenever my mother needed help, Life Alert was there.
Because of Life Alert, my mother's life was saved.
Life Alert definitely saved my mother-in-law's life that day. There's no doubt about it.
We save a life from a catastrophe every 11 minutes. For a free Life Alert brochure, call 800-954-2339. That's 800-954-2339. Call 800-954-2339.
Hi, I'm Joan London, and if you're worried about your parent or a loved one living alone like I was, and you want reliable senior care information, then call A Place for Mom, the nation's largest senior living referral service. With one phone call, you'll get free information on assisted living, Alzheimer's care, nursing homes, even important financial information. It's a free service, so call now.
Call today, 800-263-4151.
All right, folks, welcome to hour number 3 of the Wednesday edition of the Steve Malzberg. I had to think. The Wednesday edition of the Steve Malzberg Show, and joining us Shortly, Congressman Mike Kelly, Republican from the great state of Pennsylvania, happens to be a member of the House Ways and Means Committee, and he'll be here to discuss the big picture of the IRS scandal, and we're looking forward to that, certainly. Then Katie Keifer, columnist for townhall.com. She'll be here to discuss her new book, Let Me Be Clear, Barack Obama's War on Millennials and One Woman's Case for Hope. And she happens to be that woman. Sally Pipes, president of the Pacific Research Institute and healthcare policy expert. She'll be here to discuss the current Obamacare statistics and the upcoming issues involving the Affordable Care Act. She'll be with us in studio. All that, Gimme 5, and more on this hour of the Steve Malzberg Show.
Ready? Fire away.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Broadcasting live from the Newsmax studio in New York City. A fusion of politics, commentary, entertainment, and sports. Steve and his team bring you the latest news and opinion now. Here is Steve Malzberg.
You are the ones who helped reach all the voters, make sure that we knew that they were important to this election because it's a group effort, it's not a solo. And so we all have a right to be proud of our state tonight. Thank you very much. Thank you for this wonderful honor and wonderful challenge that lies ahead. Thank you very, very much.
All right, folks, a victorious Thad Cochran yesterday, but there's I call it a problem, and that problem, or that caveat is a better description, I would guess, is that Thad Cochran won his narrow victory over challenger Chris McDaniel in their runoff by using Democratic votes and African-American votes, and that's perfectly legal in that state. However, there's some pushback, and Chris McDaniel insinuating that he's not going away. He's expected to speak a little bit later on and talk about future plans, which might include some kind of challenge to the results or to Thad Cochran. We're going to have to wait and see. Plus, there's the flyer that was passed around. I don't know who passed it around, but our friend John Fund put it up on National Review. The Tea Party intends to prevent blacks from voting on Tuesday, and they went on to basically describe Thad Cochran as a champion of civil rights and Chris McDaniel, let's put it this way, not a champion of civil rights. So we'll see where this all leads. But right now, before we get here to Congressman Mike Kelly, let's all watch this.
I want to know why you didn't tell us you had lost some of her emails, because that's what we care about.
Can I give you the answer?
Sure.
All right. Our program was to complete the production of all Lois Lerner emails, complete the review of all custodians, and
but it's kind of important, Mr. Commissioner, to tell us when you lost emails for the person that we're focused on. Don't you think? Let me ask you this. Let me ask you a more important question. Did you tell the Justice Department?
No.
Why not? There's a criminal investigation going on. Don't you think that's a pertinent fact that they'd like to know?
We have no evidence that there's any criminal violation involved.
I didn't ask you that. There's a criminal. The President of the United States said on May 15th, we got to get to the bottom of this. The Attorney General said we're going to do everything we can to find out what happened here. And you have information. You still have you talked to the FBI at all?
I have never talked to the FBI about it.
All right, folks. I mean, I could have picked from any one of a number of video clips to present in advance here of the Congressman joining us. And Congressman Mike Kelly, welcome back, sir.
Thank you, Steve. Great to be with you, and thanks for covering this the way you are. It's very important to the American people. You know, people try to politicize it, say it's a Democrat or Republican issue. This is not. This is an American issue that goes deep into the the depths of everything that we believe in. And when you start messing with people's constitutional rights, when you start violating those rights, if that's really party related, then there's a problem. It is an American issue. We've got to get this fixed.
Well, I think the partisanship we've seen has come from the members of the committees where the testimony has been given. They've rushed to this commissioner's defense, accused Republicans of doing all kinds of things to cause Lois Lerner's emails to go bye-bye. But there's a Fox News poll out today, sir, which you're probably aware of, that shows only 12% believe that there's nothing here. An overwhelming 70% or so think that there's some monkey business going on here and it should be further investigated.
Absolutely, and I think we feel the same way. It has been disappointing to sit in these hearings, and when some of my friends on the other side, all they're fixated on is, listen, you're being too hard on this man. Now, we sat through Miller, we sat through Werfel, and now we sat through Koskinen. Everybody says the same thing. They don't give any direct answers. They don't give you any idea of timelines of when they knew these things. Now, Commissioner Koskinen, I sat with him an hour before last week, before we had our hearing. He agreed with me. It's almost irreparable damage to this agency. I also asked him, I said, well, listen, the big problem, Commissioner, is you've got to be able to come clean with the American people. Not so much with me because I'm sitting here in front of you, but with the American people, you've got to let us know. And this idea that you waited to let us know that these emails were lost and you buried it in a report, that just adds to the problem, and it widens the gap between what's believable and what's not believable, and what we're going to accept as a truthful answer and what we're going to say, listen, you're just running out the clock. Now, my friends on the other side, I have absolutely no idea what the heck oath they took. It is not to protect the IRS. Everything in this government is dedicated to taking care of private citizens. It is about the people. It has always been about the people. And when you get that confused, you really ought to retire and go home and forget about it because you can't be objective to your job anymore. Go home. Go home. Don't stay here and do this.
Threatening to leave and objecting and apologizing to the commissioner.
yeah.
Let me ask you this. Is the commissioner a nicer guy in a one-on-one as you had with him away from the committee or in a different setting than he is? Because many have accused him of just exhibiting much arrogance.
Well, you know, one-on-one, he was a very respectful guy, and we agreed. I said, first of all, I don't know why you're here. You're a real estate guy. You have no business to be running this agency at 90.
Well, wait a minute. Let me interject, and I hate to interrupt, Congressman. Are you aware of a report today that says he's given $85,000 over the years to Democratic candidates and Democratic causes?
Right. Well, see, the first thing he told me, he said, you know, I was in the Bush White House. I said, well, I don't care what house you're in. I'm just asking you now. You're going to be in the House of Representatives on Friday. We need to get to the bottom of this for the American people. Now, this stuff gets bandied back and forth. But no, you know, one-on-one, not bad. But when he sits in front of the group, he really becomes a very arrogant person, almost one of these guys that's taunting you to say, oh, well, yeah, I mean, you know, what do you say about his law? I was a lawyer, but I gave it up for Lent, and I never went back. You know what? Come on, give me a break. The American people right now are outraged, and they need to stay outraged. And what you're doing right now, Steve, the more we learn, the more we know what happened. And the more we know what happened, we can prevent it from ever happening again. And I think the American people look at this now and said, how could we have been so asleep for so long and allowed these people to get away with this? I have had so many people come before me and say, this is what happened to me. Listen to this, listen to that. The stories are endless. This is the second largest law enforcement agency we have in our government, and to think that they play by different rules than the rest of us, come on. If we're truly a nation of laws and that nobody is above the law, then what is going on right now? The arrogance of this administration, and this takes in Mr. Koskinen now, when they think they can sit back and just tell the American people we're thumbing our nose at you, we're saying, you know what? You can't do a damn thing to us. We'll continue on this, and the Department of Justice needs to jump in. I don't know that we're going to see it with a guy like Eric Holder because they have already demonstrated their lack of commitment to our way of life and our rule of law. So we're going to continue to be outraged. The Speaker talked today about suing the president. We are going to look at different avenues that we can take right now. But really, the model only works when the people are engaged. And I mean the people of this great country. We have to stay engaged. We have to stay white hot in this, and we can't stop until we get to the bottom of this. And we have to make sure that people just don't get fired. These people deserve to be in jail.
Well, I want to, first of all, I want to throw it back at you, not to make this a mutual admiration society, but it's because of people like you. I mean, I could talk till I'm blue in the face. You're the people who are asking the questions, who are taking the commissioner and others to task and holding them accountable as much as you can. And I want to get to Boehner in just a second, but let me ask you this. We had one of your colleagues on yesterday who said that the only way we're going to get to the bottom of this is to grant Lois Lerner immunity. Now, I know that she wanted some preconditions for that. I mean, you need to know what she's willing to say, I guess, before you guys grant her immunity. But is that an avenue you're willing to go down?
Listen, you know, in my background, I'm an automobile dealer. And when you sit down with a customer, you never, ever agree to anything until you find out at what price will they buy. You got to know from her, what is it that you have that you're willing to tell us before we talk about granting you immunity? Just to give her generally, just say, okay, we're going to get, we'll do that. Now you can tell us your story. We've got to know what she's got the ability to tell us right now. I just think that sometimes we get a little bit, we're trying to jump ahead on this, and we're trying to go a little bit quicker than maybe we need to. I want to make sure that we have everything tied down the way it should be tied down so we can get to the bottom of it. I do think that once we get to a certain level, We're going to start talking to IT people. We're going to be talking to people that we can make sure that the whistleblowers don't get hurt. And I think we'll start to see the information starting to get a free flow of it, and we'll get to the bottom of it.
You can get these emails. I mean, you're convinced you can get these emails. That's question A. Part B is the archivist said he wouldn't say they broke the law, the IRS, but he did say they didn't follow the law. And you're not a lawyer, neither am I, but that sounds to me like they broke the law. So, A, do you think you could get to these emails? Can they disappear from the face of the earth? And B, what's the repercussions for the IRS not following the law?
Listen, one of the things that I know, and I've been told this for a long time, be careful what you do in emails because it has a longer life than toxic waste. It's about the servers. Listen, they're banking on the idea that the American people and Congress is stupid. And if they can feed them some line and it's going to be accepted, we know, listen, this is impossible what they're saying. It can't happen that way. The other side is, what do you mean we just didn't exactly follow the law? Yeah, how about you and I try to do that in front of an IRS group? Because, you know what, we weren't exactly sure. And all the records you wanted to ask me about, kind of lost them. My hard drive crashed. So, hey, you know what? The numbers I'm going to give you those are the numbers you're going to have to believe. They would have us shackled so quickly. You can take your home, take your car, take your business, take your bank account, and we have to sit back and take their, I don't want to use the term on the air. Anyways, listen, it can all be retrieved. There's nobody out there that says it can't be retrieved. We have to get to the IT people, find out what it is they know, and let them know. You know what? When they talk to us, there's some things that they have to come clean on. They have to tell the truth. They cannot lie to Congress, and that there's consequences for not telling the truth. They have to know that, and they have to know they just can't come in and continue to try and blow some smoke at us, and we'll just walk away. We've got to get to the bottom of it. We've got to hold their feet to the fire and make them the heroes in this. By the way, these people in the IT, these people can be heroes for the country. They can be true patriots.
Yep. All right. Now, Reince Priebus told me yesterday that he'd like to see the GOP take advantage of this and propose and try to institute radical reform of the IRS, or even abolishing the IRS. Is this the time? Is the time ripe right now for doing something like that?
I think the time is ripe for us to take a look at an agency that's really become running roughshod over people. You have to have an IRS. We have to have a way to collect revenue in order to run our government. That's just a given, okay? Now, when we look at the tactics they use, and we look at the way they've been able to twist arms over the years, I think it's time to look at that and say, can we actually be this abusive with everyday citizens? Is everybody guilty until proven innocent?
Right. I hate to interrupt, but I don't want to miss this.
That's okay.
Reince Priebus said, how about turning the burden of proof around? Instead of the IRS putting it upon the taxpayer, how about the IRS has the burden of proof?
Well, I mean, listen, I would agree with that. Here's what I agree. Listen, we're a nation of laws, and nobody's above the laws. I don't care if you're the average citizen out there or you're the IRS. You have to play by the same rules. So I think, we can get real stirred up about this and start to say things that we should do this or do that right now. What we need to do is turn to who we are, and that's a nation that is governed by a rule of laws. And again, as I repeated earlier, listen, there's nobody above the law. That's all we're asking. We don't have to get radical. We just have to get back to our basics.
Yeah. Well, listen, Congressman, keep it up because a majority of the people they want this rectified, and I think Congressman Ryan. There were so many great sound bites and videos to choose from. Congressman Ryan, I think, brought it home, and this is the reason why the poll shows what the poll shows. You may agree, and that is that everybody, you've either dealt with the IRS and sending in your taxes and you've never had a problem, or you've been audited, or you have to save 7 years worth of receipts and taxes, and then to hear the commissioner say what he said, I think that's what resonates. And Paul Ryan brought that home, and I think that's why this is resonating with the American people. I agree with you. The arrogance that we saw, it goes off the charts. And again, if we are who we say we are, we are the greatest country the world has ever known, and come on, we can't accept this type of behavior. And if we sit back and let it happen to us, shame on us. Congressman, thank you so much for all your time. Appreciate it. Thanks, Steve. Keep up the good work. Thank you. You too, sir. Appreciate that. Right. Congressman Mike Kelly, ladies and gentlemen, here on the Steve Malzberg Show. They're going to get to the bottom of this, and emails do not disappear. They just don't. Anyway, up next, right here, if you keep it where it is, I've never said that before. Katie Keifer, town hall columnist and author of Let Me Be Clear. Coming up next on the Steve Malzberg Show, only on Newsmax Television.
Imagine being able to clear your breakouts fast with a revolutionary new acne treatment that's actually good for your skin. Announcing all-new Proactive Plus, the combination of acne medicine plus ultra-perfecting skincare. Television star Kristen Ritter calls it a miracle.
I love the new Proactive Plus. It's fighting all my breakouts, and my skin is like porcelain.
The results are astonishing. Your skin is not only clear, but smooth and sexy. It's our smartest, fastest, most effective solution ever. And now, new skincare is in every step to balance acne-prone skin with needed hydration and more.
I have to tell you, this is different. Just look at my before and after pictures. That doesn't lie.
So grab your phone and dial the number on your screen now, because today, shipping is free. And get 3 free gifts, a $96 value for just $29.95. Call now.
You will love your skin.
Are you feeling tired, run down, low on energy? Well, you could be just like millions of Americans whose thyroid gland isn't functioning the way it's supposed to. Well, now there's hope to change all of that. Introducing Actilin. Actilin is a premium nutritional supplement designed to support optimal thyroid function. Actilin has 17 powerful ingredients that support adrenal health, thyroid function, energy, and your immune system. Actilin was formulated by the renowned holistic practitioner, Dr. David Brownstein. And now, for a limited time, you can get a free bottle of Actilin with our special offer. You pay only for shipping and handling. Act right now and get Dr. Brownstein's free special report, A Doctor's Guide to a Healthy Thyroid. Get Actilin and the special report. Sign up today at getactilin.com. That's getactilin.com. Or call us at the number below.
Now on Newsmax TV, what should America do with 10 million illegal aliens? Ben Carson reveals how the GOP can fix the problem. Watch it on Newsmax TV's Midpoint. Go now to Newsmax TV. Politics, commentary, entertainment, sports, news and opinion now. Here is Steve Malzberg.
Let me be clear. Let me be absolutely clear. Let me be clear. Let me make something clear. Let me be clear. So we must be clear. And so I want to be very clear here. Just to be clear. I also want to be clear, but let me be clear. So let me be clear. But let me be clear. Success should be judged by results. Now let me be clear. I just want to clear something up here. If you like your doctor, you will be able to keep your doctor. Period. If you like your health care plan, you'll be able to keep your health care plan. Period.
Yeah, period. I love that. I love that. I could play that all day long. All right, look, I am not a millennial. I don't know what the heck I am, to be honest with you. I've lost track. But we have a real, live, true millennial sitting next to me, columnist for townhall.com, author of a great new book, Let Me Be Clear. And that's why we played Barack Obama saying, let me be clear. And we welcome in Katie Kiefer. Great to see you.
Great to see you. Thanks for having me.
No, my pleasure. Let me be clear. Let me read the rest. Barack Obama's war on millennials and one woman's case for hope. And if you turn to the back, there's a letter. You wrote a little short letter to Barack Obama. How has he not lived up to expectations for millennials?
Well, 68% of millennials voted for Barack Obama in 2008, 60% in 2012. And the reason they did so was because he said that he was going to reduce the debt, he was going to create all these jobs. And so there was a lot of hope for great things. But isn't it interesting that when you look out there now, over 15% of millennials are unemployed, over a third are living at home with their parents, and those are historic highs. That for the past 40 years, we haven't had as many young people living at home with their parents. And so he has let us down, he's broken nearly every promise. But the good news is there is hope. And in this book, I provide many solutions, and they're practical solutions. For example, Obamacare is going to hit us pretty hard. Yeah. Our generation is going to have to pay that price if it ever were to work the way Obama wants it to.
Right, yeah, absolutely.
So What I did is I interviewed close to 300 doctors and surgeons.
And came up with that. I was going to say the Republicans might want to do that too, because we're still waiting for their official alternative plan.
Yes, I specifically wrote that chapter hoping that some Republicans, some politicians would read it and use it as the blueprint for creating some good legislation. Because you're right, I haven't heard many solutions, but doctors do have solutions, and they're in this book. There's also many entrepreneurial solutions for how young people can take back their American dreams.
I can understand almost how millennials got hoodwinked, or as Obama likes to say, okey-doked, bamboozled the first time around. But things weren't so great the second time around after the first 4 years leading into the 2012 elections. How did they get bamboozled again, or was it just a natural thing to do, to pull the lever for him?
No, that's a very good question. And in fact, leading into the 2012 elections, millennials the polls showed that they were not going to vote for Obama in such high numbers. And he was getting very worried about that. And so that's why he and Michelle, and they recruited Bill Clinton to help them as well. They went out there and said, if you vote for me, you will go to college and you will not have to pay any student debt. You're going to have free health care, at least until you're 26. And so they really ramped up those promises. Also, the GOP didn't do themselves too many favors with some of the mistakes I would say that they made. And so I offer ways that the GOP can stay true to their core values, but also present entrepreneurship and the free markets in a new way that's going to resonate more with young people in the future.
And for instance, I mean, what's better than offering young people, I mean, not you, not like-minded people to you, but what's better than saying, hey, I'll give you free phones, I'll give you free this, I'll pay for that, I'll pay for that. How do you beat that offer?
Well, the good news is
I like that. That's the second time she said the good news is. Okay, I like good news, yes.
There's a study that just came out from Deloitte, and they studied the millennial generation. 70% of my generation say that they want to be an entrepreneur someday. Many young people see Steve Jobs as a role model, and he's woven into this book as well because he wasn't a big Obama fan. And I point out to young people, if you want to be an entrepreneur, we need to get on a different track because it's very hard to do that right now. So if the conservatives and the Republicans and independents can speak to that wonderful desire that that we naturally have.
Yeah.
And also at the same time, there's a Harvard poll that came out that says that young people have lost trust in the president. They're not going to come out and vote in such high numbers. If they do vote, they're going to vote for Hillary Clinton. And so that is why this message is so important, to show people that Hillary, because she and her husband are woven in here as well, would be the same as Bill Clinton and do the same things, and why we need a new breed of politician for the future.
What about social issues? Do you believe that Republicans need to, I don't want to say sell their soul, but compromise and lose maybe the core base of their party on issues of gay marriage and other issues to attract millennials? Do you think that that's millennials that's important to do or not?
Well, I'll say it a third time. The good news is we don't have to compromise on values. There's a chapter in there called Why Fathers Matter, and I go into the importance of families, and I show that young people today are socially libertarian. So that means that they're okay with their friend living their life a different way from them, but they don't want the federal government to tell them how to live. And that's all in our Constitution. The 10th Amendment protects the rights of individuals and states to make certain decisions with regard to marriage. And I point that out, and if we abide by the 10th Amendment and the First Amendment, we, as conservatives, independents, libertarians, we can stay true to our values without compromising. And at the same time, other people can live their lives freely as they so choose.
We got about a minute left, so it's not fair, but how do you combat the media? The media direct, Obama goes on Jon Stewart and this and it's cool, and the Republicans are stuffed shirts and starchy shirts and supposedly old white man crotchety. How do you fix that?
How
do you fix the perception, the media coverage?
Oh, the media coverage?
Yeah.
Well, that's where my generation, we need to speak up and we need to demand more accountability from the media. And we're all so socially connected that young people, if they each use their individual social media accounts to to ask for a message, to say, dear @Barack Obama, I want accountability,
right.
we will have change.
The book, Let Me Be Clear, and it's by Katie Kiefer, and you would do well to pick it up and to read it. And I thank you. So great to see you. Thanks for coming in. Appreciate it. All right, folks, we'll be back with more of the Steve Malzberg Show, what John Boehner did today. Don't go away.
Wayne Allen Root here, former presidential candidate, conservative media personality, and best-selling author, with a shot of economic reality to kick off 2014. First, things are not as bad as they seem. They're worse. Our nation is sinking in debt, spending, taxes, and entitlements. There are no new jobs, and your health insurance is going dramatically higher. Forget stocks, bonds, and savings balances. They'll soon be gutted as the world finally ditches the dollar and turns to more stable currencies like gold. What other currency or asset has risen 300% in the last decade? Gold is like no other money on earth. Call my trusted friends at Swiss America for the full story about the coming gold rush. Gold is wealth insurance against a world full of political deception, ignorance, crisis, and economic disaster. Act now. Ask for my new DVD, The Timeless Truth About Money. It's 100% free.
Can you really lose weight without changing your lifestyle? LaToya Q did. In fact, in just 5 months, she lost nearly 2 pounds a week without changing the way she dieted or exercised.
I lost 36 pounds and I went down 4 dress sizes.
Like so many people, LaToya didn't want to change her lifestyle to lose weight. Instead, she decided to take America's #1 selling diet pill, Lipozene.
People kept asking me, you have to be exercising. You're really you just don't want to tell us what you're doing. I was like, no, I don't have time to go to a gym. I just took Lipozene and I started seeing results immediately.
Lipozene has now sold over 20 million bottles. That's because Lipozene really works. And to prove it, we conducted our very own double-blind clinical study where all we asked people to do was take Lipozene. And by just taking Lipozene, they lost weight. But here's where it gets really exciting. These people were not asked to change their diet or exercise. And 78% of the weight they lost was pure body fat. Not water, fat.
I'm almost back down to my high school weight, so I'm really loving that.
And for even faster results, you can try Lipozene with moderate diet and exercise.
Feels great to have a six-pack. I didn't think I would have it at my age.
I lost 7 inches off of my waist and I lost 2 dress sizes and I feel amazing.
Now you can join the millions of people who have lost weight with Lipozene by trying it risk-free for only $29.95. Lipozene is guaranteed to help you lose weight or your money back.
Lipozene, it works.
But wait. Call in the next 10 minutes and we'll double your order absolutely free. Plus, we'll even pay for your shipping. But that's still not all. To celebrate selling over 20 million bottles of Lipozene, the company will give you a free bottle of Metabo Up with your order. That's a $20 value free. But you must call right now because this exclusive free offer is not available in stores.
Call 1-800-509-9436. That's 1-800-509-9436.
Broadcasting live from the Newsmax studio in New York City, here is Steve Malzberg.
You know, the Constitution makes it clear that the president's job is to faithfully execute the laws. This is not about impeachment. This is about his faithfully executing the laws of our country.
All right, folks. John Boehner earlier today announcing he is suing the President of the United States. By the way, Chris McDonnell, who was defeated in the Mississippi Senate runoff by Thad Cochran, the incumbent, yesterday, I believe it was 6,693 votes with 99% of the vote counted. He reportedly is refusing to concede, and we will have more developments on that as they become available. But I want to go back to some more of what John Boehner had to say today in announcing, again, that because he believes the president is running roughshod over the Constitution, that's my word, and is circumventing Congress wherever he can, he is going to sue the President of the United States. Here's some more.
This is about defending the institution in which we serve. You know, if you look back over the last 235 years of our history, there's been a movement between the inherent powers of the executive branch versus the inherent powers of the legislative branch. And what we've seen clearly over the last 5 years is an effort to erode the power of the legislative branch. I believe the president is not faithfully executing the laws of our country. And on behalf of the institution and our Constitution, standing up and fighting for this is in the best long-term interest of the Congress.
So this is going to be very interesting. And, you know, there's going to be a lot of talk from the left. I could hear it already. I haven't heard it yet because I've been working all day. But hopefully some of them are hearing me. But I will predict that they will be saying that they're suing, you know, a bunch of white men are suing the first black president of the United States because they have a problem with a black man in the White House. You've heard it before. You'll hear it again. My prediction. But I'm glad. Who was it? Gary Bauer, who we had on earlier, agreed with what he says or don't agree with what he says. But on this issue, he was glad, he was encouraged that John Boehner did this today. And he said, and I think this is a great line, he said, whatever John Boehner had for breakfast today, I wish he would have it for breakfast every day. Because, you know, better late than never, I think was what he also said about this. And I agree. I don't know how fast this could take place. This is going to be a long, drawn-out process. I'm not a lawyer. I don't even know what's possible from this lawsuit. I don't even know what standing they're claiming, who else will be signed on to the suit, what damages he could show. I have no idea how successful this suit will be, what it will claim, etc. But I think it's important, symbolically at least, and I hope for you know, firm results, but symbolically to show the president and to show the country and to show the world that if we believe our president is circumventing the Constitution and trying to do everything behind the backs of Congress without congressional approval, then he has to be reined in one way or another, and this is one way, certainly. And kudos to John Boehner. One other story that we'll have more on tomorrow. You know, the Sudanese authorities have now again detained that young woman who gave birth in prison. She was sentenced to death by hanging. They let her out of death row. She had converted to Christianity and refused to renounce Christianity and return to Islam. So now there are conflicting reports about Miriam Ibrahim, but they say now that she was freed from death row, but she's been detained trying to leave the country because they're saying she's using phony papers. Now, they should let this woman out, and they should let this woman out now. But then again, they should also let a Marine out of Mexico. You know, we have an administration that's more concerned about less important things and not concerned about things that really matter, like these two cases. We're coming back with Sally Pipes. Don't go away. But first, we're going to have America's Moment, as we always do. And today, it looks into the end of Prohibition. Watch.
It was intended to take the roar out of America's roaring 20s, but instead its passage divided the nation and began an era of bootleggers, speakeasies, and rum-running gangsters. When ratified in 1919, the 18th Amendment to the Constitution outlawed the manufacturing, transportation, and sale of intoxicating liquors. Consequently, organized crime was quick to step up and quench the thirst of an eager nation. The Volstead Act gave federal agencies the legal authority to enforce prohibition, but with an average of only 30 enforcement agents per state, the illegal liquor flowed freely. By 1925, in New York City alone, authorities estimated over 100,000 illegal bars were thriving, with customers consisting of friends, neighbors, and lawmakers alike. Still, some law enforcement became famous fighting the booze trade. One was Elliot Ness. As a top agent of the Bureau of Prohibition, Ness led a team of men known as the Untouchables. Tough and incorruptible, they brought down Chicago bootlegger and mobster Al Capone. But bowing to public pressure, in his 1932 presidential campaign, Franklin Roosevelt endorsed the repeal of prohibition. It was later reported, with the Depression in full swing and national morale at rock bottom, then President Roosevelt remarked, "I think we could all do with a beer." With the passage of the 21st Amendment on December 5, 1933, prohibition was officially repealed, making the 18th Amendment the only amendment in the U.S. Constitution repealed by the passage of another. Still, even with the repeal of prohibition, many states chose to remain dry, the longest running of which was Mississippi, who didn't repeal their self-imposed prohibition until 1966. For Newsmax TV, I'm Bill Curtis, and this is an American Moment.
I've got a small business, and everybody said you should be promoting it with Facebook.
Well, I use Facebook for myself, but I had no idea how to use it for my plumbing business.
Then I heard about web.com.
They told me they would build a professional Facebook page for my business free.
So I gave them a call.
And then they built me a Facebook page for free. I couldn't believe it.
If you call web.com now, you can have a new Facebook page built for your small business free. We even write posts for your Facebook page that will get people talking about you.
It's like I have this whole big social media department for my business.
Call now and web.com will build your new Facebook page free. Then we'll continue to bring you new fans, write posts for you, and report on results, all for one low monthly fee. If not, cancel and pay nothing.
Now people call me and say, I found you on Facebook. How cool is that?
You say it, we build it free.
Call 1-855-235-7998 today.
Endless pools are an incredible alternative to traditional pools, making it easy and inexpensive to swim at home. Call our toll-free number or visit our website. A free idea kit and DVD will be sent to your home so you can discover all the benefits of owning your own pool. Compared to traditional pools, endless pools are simple to install, easy to maintain, and economical to run. Our precision-engineered pools enable you to swim or exercise against a smooth current that adjusts to any speed and ability. Endless pools are perfect for year-round health and fitness, relaxation, and family fun. Our free idea kit and DVD will show you how easy it is for the whole family to enjoy a pool right in your backyard or home. An endless pool or an endless pool swim spa can become a showplace for your home. Call our toll-free number or visit the website to find out more about endless pools. The free idea kit will show you just how easy it is to be able to swim at home.
Tonight we are a country awakened to danger and called to defend freedom.
Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall.
One day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. Ask not what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do for your country.
Broadcasting live from the Newsmax studio in New York City, here is Steve Malzberg.
And welcome back. You know, with all the scandals and day by day by day, it's something else. When's the last time we really took a hard look at Obamacare? Obamacare, do a Google search. It's practically out of the news and has been for quite some time. And that's not necessarily a good thing because the problems persist. The numbers of people who have enrolled, first-time new enrollees, way, way down from expectations. Costs continue to go up. Premiums continuing to go up. And hopefully the Republicans won't give Obama a pass on this going forward. Here's a woman who joins us now, who I've talked to many, many times, president of the Pacific Research Institute and healthcare policy expert, Sally Pipes, who I know you won't let that happen. Great to see you.
Great to see you.
Thanks for coming in.
Yes.
All right. So, you know, it has been out of the news, pushed aside by everything from Iraq and, of course, now, you know, with the IRS testimony. Right, yeah. But there is a tie into the veterans scandal, I believe. Why don't we start there? And many people have said that what we're seeing with the veterans, the waiting to be seen and the deaths as a result, is just a preview of what we're going to see for the entire population.
Right, and as you know, Steve, I'm originally Canadian, and so, you know, long waiting lists, ration care, and I had predicted when I did a Senate help testimony that, you know, the VA system is an example of what has happened in Canada, but of course people didn't believe me, people like Paul Krugman, oh, the VA system is single payer and it's fabulous, and then about a month later all these scandals broke, and, you know, I think it's a microcosm of what is going to happen to our healthcare system if we don't get it back on track and get away from Obamacare, or get away away from allowing the federal government to take over our healthcare system.
And you know, we've talked about the death panels and your horror stories of the Canadian system with your mom and you know, being left in the hall and not being able to see a specialist, and all these things that people, they don't want to hear about, or they say it can't be true. But with the veterans now, there's a whistleblower came forward the other day who said that even now, even fairly recently after the revelation of the scandal, numbers were being fudged to misrepresent the number of people who died in Phoenix while waiting to be seen.
Yes, exactly. And Senator Coburn came out with a report today saying there have been 1,000 needless deaths because of the VA and the waiting times. And you know, I just think that it's a microcosm, because I believe the president really, his long-term goal is not what Obamacare is, but it's to go to a single-payer Medicare for all. And he'll say, well, you know, we tried the competitive marketplace, it didn't work, therefore we need single-payer. And you know, we'll have the same problems they have in Canada and England: ration care, long waits, lack of technology. And what about the pharmaceuticals and the biotech industry, which people come from all over the world? We're the innovators.
I was going to say, innovation stifled.
Absolutely. And so I think it's disappointing that a lot of the members of the GOP are afraid to talk about Obamacare. I don't know why. They need to raise it for the election this fall. It's huge, and we have to stand up and be counted on it.
Yeah.
53% of Americans still today would like to see this legislation repealed and replaced. So let's look at what the American people think of it. They don't like it, and as you say, 8 million people enrolled, but a lot of them haven't paid their first month's premium. They're absolutely astounded when they find out that the doctor they had before isn't available to them.
Or that they have this huge deductible.
Right, the deductibles are way up, and they're thinking, I have to pay that out of pocket, you know, before I reach, you know, being
right. Youngsters who were you know, talked into buying this, whoever many did, you know, that for less than a cell phone bill or whatever.
Right.
And then if they got to go to the doctor, they're going to have a huge deductible, so they're going to get a bill, and they're going to call up and say, "Well, I'm covered," and they're going to learn what the meaning of deductible is for the first time in their lives.
Right, and to pay on average $340 a month for health care when they're young invincibles, they want to have the type of coverage for catastrophes and things. They don't want to be paying $340 a month, and so that's why, you know, the HHS had said that they needed 40% of the young invincibles, 18 to 34-year-olds, to sign up for Obamacare, and they only got about 25%, and most of those people are young people who have real problems. So it's a real strain on that system.
It's not cost effective.
Right.
Now Cheryl Atkinson came out with a story yesterday, formerly of CBS, saying that I think the administration had expected well over 20 million new first-time sign-ups for health care, and what they have is more like 4 million first-time sign-ups, and nobody's talking about that.
No, and you know, I mean, the administration kept saying, well, we'll have a full universal coverage. Everybody will be covered. And in fact, the CBO came out and said that 30 million Americans by 2019 will still be uninsured. So the sign-ups, it's not a good deal for the American people, Steve, and that's why you're seeing, you know, no lack of sign-up.
You've written a piece recently in Forbes, at Forbes.com, talking about how the CBO admitted that it has no idea what Obamacare will wind up costing the taxpayers.
Right.
I mean, isn't it incumbent, and you alluded to the Republicans, what should the strategy be going forward? First of all, they should, as you did through your piece, they should make the public aware of this.
Right.
They should. I know there's other things going on. I know Boehner today said he wants to sue the president for various things, but they should also hold a press conference talking about the revelations that come out every day about Obamacare, and they're not. But you did a great job with your piece and other pieces. So what should the Republican strategy be going forward? Repeal? Should they come up with there's a fight within the party?
Yeah, right.
Should we present our own plan, or just leave well enough alone and just, you know, run on the fact that people don't like what we have now and just let that be enough? What do they do?
Well, I think we need repeal and replace. That is, if they start by just repealing little bits of it, you know, then you'll have, if the Republicans get the presidency in 2016, 2017, they've got to go for repeal and replace. Otherwise, you'll have these incremental changes, and before you know it, we'll be at single payer. So they have to, and you know, Senators Burr, Coburn, and Hatch have a plan. Steve Scalise at the Republican Study Committee had a plan.
The new majority whip.
Right, and Paul Ryan has had a plan. Dr. Tom Price, they've had plans. The Republicans need to rally around one plan, not have all these. They're slightly different, but get together and tell the American people what it is that they're going to do for them to achieve affordable, accessible, quality care. Changing the tax code so that employees don't get a tax advantage, whereas individuals don't. don't. Let's allow people to buy coverage across state lines. Medicare and Medicaid are going to be bankrupt. The CBO and the Medicare trustees have said we can't. It'll cost $1 trillion in 2023. And we need to, people live to 79. They don't die at 65, which was the age when Medicare and Medicaid came into being. And so they've got to rally around a plan, and the American people don't like it. Let's get the American people educated on what's wrong with it.
Well, this is your first appearance with us since we've been fortunate enough to be on DirecTV and Dish Network, and I want to make sure that the people who might be listening to you for the first time hear the horror story. I mean, I hate to make you relive it, but the way I became aware of Sally Pipes was I read a story in the New York Post way back maybe 07, 08 about the Canadian system and your horror story regarding your family member, and I got in touch with you and we've been talking ever since. Tell the folks, tell me again what that was all about.
Right, so in 2005, my mom, I lived in San Francisco then, but I'm a Canadian, I'm an American now, but my mom had called and said she thought she had colon cancer, and I said, well, you'll have to go to the doctor. So she went to her primary care doctor. You don't call up a specialist in Canada under the single payer, you have to go to your GP. And he said, she went and he sort of felt around her stomach and said, well, I don't think you have colon cancer. And so we ordered an x-ray, and of course nothing showed up. And I said, Mom, you don't detect colon cancer with an x-ray, you need a colonoscopy. So she called back, she wanted me to do it, but I told her she had to do it. And he said, well, because of your age, you're over 65, we have all these people on the waiting list for colonoscopies, 6 to 8 months. We can't get you one. So by November, my mom had lost 30 pounds, and she called on a Sunday and said, I'm hemorrhaging. I knew I had colon cancer. We got her to the emergency room. She spent 2 days in the emergency room, 2 days in the transit lounge waiting for a bed in a ward, and she died 2 weeks later from metastasized colon cancer. Now, she did get her colonoscopy in the hospital. They determined that it was metastasized. But, you know, it's cheaper to ration care and let people die rather than do expensive surgeries. And particularly for our older people, for seniors, we're going to see more and more of that. And I think that seniors in this country need to stand up to Obamacare, because when you take out $750 billion out of Medicare to help expand the Medicaid program, seniors are going to be hurt. 1 in 3 new Medicare patients can't find a doctor.
That is such a horror story, and what struck me is not only the age factor, that they wouldn't put her move her up on the list even though she had symptoms, because there's so many younger people waiting for a colonoscopy, but waiting for the colonoscopy. I mean, here they urge you. I mean, they beg you, come get your colonoscopy. Did you have a colonoscopy? Get your colonoscopy, and you could get it like that.
Right, and I've had 3, and because I have colon cancer in my family, and I'm so grateful, and I don't mind paying for it because it is so important to my long-term health.
Well, I mean, and if you're insured, most insurance cover that. They want to cover it. They want you to have it every 5 years when you hit 50.
Right, because that reduces their costs.
Sure, but that's the danger of you know, I had Tom Daschle on real quick here. We only have a minute. When he wrote his book several years ago, and he was supposed to be the architect. He was supposed to be Kathleen Sebelius, but he couldn't get confirmed. Anyway, I said, 86-year-old guy, what would you do with him if he needed triple bypass? Give him a pill or put him in a hospice. That's the mindset, and America does not have that mindset, and people have to understand that.
No, we want people to have choice, and families and doctors should make those choices, not government bureaucrats like Berwick and people.
It's a conversation we better have fast. Sally, great to see you.
Thank you so much, Steve.
Sally Pipes, ladies and gentlemen, here on the Steve Malzberg Show, and we're at that time of the hour where you know what's coming next. It's called Gimme 5, and in this particular Gimme 5, we're going to take a look on the comments made by Bill Clinton in response to the comments made by Hillary Clinton and what was said on Meet the Press. So don't go away. It's all next on the Steve Malzberg Show right here on Newsmax Television.
Tired of mops that can't reach the dirt? Do you hate wringing out mops with your bare hands?
Oh, no!
Is your mop a dirty, disgusting mess? Well, no more. It's time to meet the incredible Hurricane 360 Spin Mop System, the only mop and bucket that spins the dirt away. The mop head spins to pick up the most dirt gets into corners and around toilet bowls. The super absorbent head picks up 10 times its weight in dirty, disgusting liquid, traps it inside, and doesn't drip. To clean it, just put it in the bucket, and like magic, it just spins the dirt away. And you will never touch dirty, disgusting mop water again. But the magic of the spin mop keeps on coming. The Hurricane 360 spin mop picks up dust and dirt at the same time. And it works on any hard surface and will never scratch or leave streaks. Its amazing bucket just can't be beat. Just dunk and spin. There's nothing else like it, guaranteed. No more touching dirty, disgusting mops, and no more getting on your hands and knees. Get the only mop that features spinning action and the revolutionary spinning bucket that cuts your cleaning time in half. Get the Hurricane 360 spin mop system for just 2 payments of $19.99. You'll also get a Sticky Buddy, the reusable sticky roller that picks up pet hair and lint and washes clean in seconds. You can take advantage of our limited time 2-for-1 pick it up special and get a second spin mop set. Just pay additional shipping and fee. You get it all: 2 spin mops, 2 mop heads, 2 revolutionary spinning buckets, and 2 Sticky Buddies for just 2 easy payments of $19.99. And we'll upgrade you to free priority handling. So don't wait. Order now.
Call 1-800-611-4362. That's 1-800-611-4362 to get your Hurricane Spin Mop double offer. So hurry and call now at 1-800-611-4362. That's 1-800-611-4362.
US Med has great news for anyone living with diabetes.
If you have Medicare, private insurance, or prescription drug coverage, US Med will ship a new glucose meter right to your home.
And shipping is free.
My new meter uses only a speck of blood, so it's less painful than my previous meter.
If you have Medicare, private insurance, or prescription drug coverage, you're covered with US Med. We're welcoming new patients, even if your current provider can't supply you anymore.
I don't even have to test on my fingers anymore. I can test on my hand or forearms, and it's more accurate than my old meter.
So call US Med today, and you'll have a choice of 2 great meters.
One that actually speaks your results, or a meter so small it fits in the bottle of strips.
Act now, and US Med will include a free prescription discount card. We'll also send you a free diabetes cookbook. This is your opportunity.
So call US Med today.
You'll be glad you did.
Take a look under your bed. Find stuff under there? What about jobs? No? Now try your closet. Still no jobs, just more stuff? Well, you really have both. See, stuff is defined as household articles considered as a group. Sometimes this stuff is no longer needed. Wait, no longer needed? That can't be right. Because remember those jobs you were looking for? Those are really needed. And they're the stuff inside your stuff. Our job is to unlock those jobs. And it starts when you donate your stuff to your local Goodwill. Here's how we do it. When you donate to Goodwill, we sell your stuff to provide job training for people right here in your community. So just by teaming up with Goodwill, you help create jobs. And isn't that worth parting with the leftover keytar from your 80s cover band? Goodwill. Donate stuff, create jobs.
One of the things that's a challenge for us is that somebody's always trying to change the subject. And the subject is, how can we get this economy going? How can it work? And one of the things that we forget is, she was joking about it the other day, half the time somebody asking a question couldn't even vote when I was president. And so you have to live in the moment, not with memory. Mm-hmm. It is factually true that we were several $1 million in debt.
Okay, welcome to Gimme 5, folks. That was from Meet the Press on Sunday, and this got a lot of play starting yesterday. Bill Clinton defending Hillary when she said we were flat broke, or, you know, when we came out of the White House. Why would he say, and I asked this question to Larry Sabato, as you'll hear in a minute, why would Bill Clinton say she was factually correct? Why go there? Here's my question to Larry Sabato yesterday. Again, it's almost like it reminds me of, you know, what Clinton speak, because technically, or whatever word he used, sure, you know, she's right in what she said. Now, why would he go there? Why would he keep it going? Why wouldn't he just say, you know, look, we're well off, we're blessed, whatever Hillary said, you know, I'm sure she didn't mean it. But why would he go, well, you know, technically, according to the letter of what she said, she was right.
We're back to the meaning of is. Look. When I heard her say that, I just laughed out loud because they are easily top 1%. I'd say it's probably 1/10 of 1%.
Yeah, of course it's 1/10 of 1%, probably. Anyway, so I don't understand it. I don't understand it, and it does bring up Clinton speak. Well, technically she said it. It's right. I mean, it depends on what she meant and how she meant it. But why parse those words? And Erin Burnett and her crew on CNN broached this topic.
And still to come, Bill Clinton steps up today to his wife's defense. But did he cause a bigger problem? Right, because Margaret, Bill Clinton pointed out they were several $1 million in debt. It is a fact. However, you're leaving the White House at a young age. It was pretty clear that wouldn't remain the case. We all know he's now estimated to be worth $100 million.
All right, so even Erin Burnett says, well, technically it might have been true, but they knew it wasn't going to stay that way. So again, I just don't understand why he's decided to defend her, to the letter of what she said, to the technical aspect of what she said. More.
How agonizing are the struggles for the folks in Scarsdale at the local grocery store he's going to?
Which would be, I'm sure, like a Whole Foods on steroids or something?
Well, I mean, it is one of the wealthiest neighborhoods in the country.
All right, by the way, it's not Scarsdale, it's Chappaqua. And I don't think they're the same thing. And there's a huge difference between Scarsdale and Chappaqua, by the way, which I don't have time to get into right now. Here's more.
She's not out of touch, and she advocated and worked as a senator for things that were good for ordinary people. And before that, all her life, the debate's the wrong debate. You need to be able to show by their policies and their statements about current conditions how candidates of both parties across the spectrum feel about the central challenge of our time, which is the demise of the American dream.
Okay, there's a lot here. All of a sudden, it's okay to be rich, very rich, if you're Hillary and the Clintons and a Democrat. But if you're very rich and you're Mitt Romney, then you're mocked over and over and over and over again. So rich Republicans, evil, out of touch, bad. Rich Democrats, good, love the people, very much care, very much in touch. You getting the drift here? One more.
I think I had the lowest net worth of any American president in the 20th century when I took office. But I still could have been tone deaf. And, now I don't, and we've got a good life, and I'm grateful for it. But we go to our local grocery store on the weekend. We talk to people in our town. We know what's going on. The real issue is, if you've been fortunate enough to be successful, are you now out of touch and insensitive to the agonizing struggles other people are facing?
I'd like to know how many times they go to their local grocery store on weekends, but that's another story. See, if you're rich and successful, does that mean you're out of touch? Only if you are a Republican. Repeat after me. Only if you are a Republican on the Steve Malzberg Show.